Sitting inside the wheel formation, Wang Lin looked outside. Miao Yin and company didn't leave. They thought that with the three of them working together they could battle against Blue Dream. Li Qianmei had a nervous expression as she watched her father fight the three of them. There was worry in her eyes. Outside the formation, the star system trembled. Blue Dream was fighting three by himself and was remaining calm. Every time he attacked, he released blue light that turned into powerful spells. After watching for a moment, Wang Lin closed his eyes and no longer paid attention to any of this. The thunderous rumbles were blocked from Wang Lin's ears and he focused himself on cultivating. He left a sliver of origin soul around him so if anything happened, he would know. During the 2 years of healing, Wang Lin had recovered most of his injuries. He had spent most of this time comprehending the tearing the heavens spell from the 8 drops of blood. He had to learn this skill and be proficient in it. Wang Lin had personally experienced the tearing the heavens spell and knew how powerful it was. As for integrating the 8 drops of blood to increase his ancient power, it would take even more time. The current environment wouldn't allow Wang Lin to immerse himself in this, so he delayed it. 3 days of time passed in a flash. Wang Lin seemed to notice something and opened his eyes. The space outside the formation was in tatters and there were many black holes all around. They were created by Blue Dream and company fighting. There were countless dead Joss Flame souls floating among the stars. They were like invisible smoke that slowly drifted by. After taking a few glances, Wang Lin could feel how fierce the battle was. He didn't see the other tree, but he saw Blue Dream step into the circle in the formation and arrive before Wang Lin. Dao Master Blue Dream looked tired. It seemed that even for him, battling the three of them was not easy. Miao Yin is seriously injured, so much so that he can recover to his peak cultivation in 100 years. His cultivation level fell to Spirit Void, so the next time you see him, you can kill him. 9 Heaven-S injuries are slightly less severe than Miao Yun's, but his Joss Flame realm was destroyed by me, injuring his mind. In the future, he will not be your match. Great Desolation was injured the most and escaped using a secret spell. He won last more than 10 years. With that, he sat down and closed his eyes to cultivate. Li Qianmei's expression was complicated. She had witnessed the 3 days of battle. She had watched her father fight and saw the dangers he had faced. Wang Lin silently pondered, and after a long time, he slowly spoke. I already have a wife for my life. Dao Master Blue Dream opened his eyes and stared at Wang Lin. His expression became gloomy. Even with me helping you, you want to change your mind. This old man doesn't want you to give up your wife but to give my daughter a promise. This matter should not be difficult for you. If not for my daughter, even though you've reached the Spirit Void stage and have the ancient inheritance, even though you can kill early stage arcane void cultivators, you wouldn't amount to much in my eyes. You could pull the Li Guang Bao to kill these old bones, but even if I die, I want to bring my Blue Silk clan to the inner realm. I, Blue Dream, was born in the ancient star system. I am one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system. Do you think I would lie to a junior like you? What do you have that would make me want to lie to you? This old man has cultivated for countless years. I want to sink that low. The heaven-defying bead is in your hands. If I were greedy, I would have taken it long ago. You hadn't even reached the 3rd step back then. If this old man wanted to kill you, I could have done so long ago. If not for the matter between you and Qianmei, why would I delay until now? The matter between you and the sovereign, the battle between the inner and outer realms, and the battle between the 7-colored Taoist and old Goshan, I could just guard my Blue Silk clan. And no one can force me to join this battle. It is likely that they will even give me favors if I join them. Right now, I have given up everything only for you to give my daughter a promise. Wang Lin, Dante forced me to go too far. Blue Dream stared at Wang Lin and anger appeared in his eyes. Everything he had done was just as he said, for his daughter. Li Qianmei shed tears. She only now understood what her father had done for her, what he had sacrificed. Wang Lin revealed a complicated gaze. He stood up and clasped his hands at Dao Master Blue Dream. Junior doesn't doubt what Senior has done. Don't say more. You Dao Master Blue Dream saw Li Qianmei's tears and his heart softened. He stared at Wang Lin and swallowed the words he was going to say. This old man can take one step back. I want you to make me a promise. If your wife resurrects, then you and my daughter will become brother and sister. But if your wife can be resurrected in the end, You will become a Dao couple with my daughter. This is my bottom line. Wang Lin, choose wisely. Dao Master Blue Dream's expression was cold. Wang Lin silently pondered. He stood up and looked into the distance. After a long time, his eyes were filled with confusion as his gaze moved toward Li Qianmei. He saw her tear, and how she lowered her head to avoid his gaze. You forget it. This old man doesn't want your immediate answer. You think about it and come find me back in the Blue Silk clan. Dao Master Blue Dream stood up and decided not to heal here. When he saw the sadness in his daughter's gaze, he felt a sting in his heart. He had come here with the hope that everything would work out and Wang Lin would agree. But it ended like this. Dad, let us go. Li Qianmei wiped away her tears and gently stood up. She arrived next to Dao Master Blue Dream. Dad, before, Meng didn't understand, but now I do. Let us go home once we reach home. Let us never leave. Li Qianmei pulled Dao Master Blue Dream's hand and felt the warmth from her father. She looked at Wang Lin and smiled. Wang Lin, can you give back the mountain and river painting you gave me? That painting was called Forgot Each Other in the World. Back then she returned it to Wang Lin and chose not to keep it, but today she wanted it back. Wang Lin's mind trembled as he looked at Li Qianmei with pain and struggle in his eyes. His wife was Li Muan, who had only accompanied him for a few years before death, but her soul had accompanied him for more than 2,000 years. However, Li Qianmei was different from Mu Bingmei and Shi Zifeng. She had sacrificed a lot for Wang Lin. Those 10 years of smearing blood and all those things that happened, how could Wang Lin forget? Her obsession, her love, and her bright smile and eyes. Wang Lin didn't have a heart of stone. How could he remain indifferent? Return it to me, please. Li Qianmei bit her lower lip. Her face was pale, but she kept smiling. She didn't want to shed her endless tears before Wang Lin. Give that painting back to me, Wang Lin. When Li Muan awakens, you have to bring her to see me. Wang Lin stared at Li Qianmei. His right hand trembled as he raised it up. With a wave, his storage space appeared, and a scroll flew out. That scroll contained the Forgot Each Other in the World mountain and river painting. Wang Lin held the painting, but he didn't have the feeling of relief like when he first gave it to her. He couldn't calmly give it to the woman before him like in the past. Dao Master Blue Dream looked at this, and the anger in his eyes turned to sorrow. He looked at Li Qianmei and knew that his daughter's heart was dead. Her heart was dead. Mu Bingmei also watched this unfold. Her mood was complicated, and she couldn't bear it anymore. However, she wasn't qualified to persuade Wang Lin, even though she was Wang Ping's mother. Looking at the father of her own child saying farewell to another woman, this made Mu Bingmei feel a stinging pain in her heart. Return it to me. Li Qianmei smiled as she walked before Wang Lin. She looked deeply at Wang Lin's face and raised her jade-like hands to tidy his clothes and hair. The tears hidden under her eyes could no longer be hidden and began to flow. She gently hugged Wang Lin, and her tears fell on his clothes, causing his white robe to become wet. If you don't like me, why did you save me in the cloud sea? Wouldn't it have been better for me to die with hope and stay in your memory, Wang Lin? Don't understand feelings? Li Qianmei murmured in Wang Lin's ear and left Wang Lin's arms. She grabbed the painting in Wang Lin's hand and was about to pull it out to leave. However, her hands holding the painting suddenly stopped because Wang Lin gripped the painting tightly. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and the painting he held didn't move at all as Li Qianmei pulled. Her face became even more pale as she looked at Wang Lin and saw him open his eyes. You don't need this painting anymore. Wang Lin squeezed, and the Forgot Each Other in the World painting collapsed and turned to dust. It disappeared from his hands, her hands. Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei. His words were filled with determination as he gently said, "From now on, you are my woman. Wan is my wife. When she awakens, let us get married together." Li Qianmei was startled, and after a long time, tears flowed. She began crying in Wang Lin's arms. Wang Lin hugged Li Qianmei. Since he had made this decision, he wouldn't regret it. This was the first woman he had accepted in more than 2,000 years aside from Li Muan. Her name was Li Qianmei. Brother, I have 3 questions to ask. Can you help me answer them? When I leave, will you send me off? If one day I die, will you still remember me? Wang Lin, I can hold on much longer. All my blood has dried up. Will you awaken soon? I don't regret it. Wang Lin, you have to wait for me. Wait for me to bring back the medicine. You will definitely wake up. Memories are like water in your palm. Although the water will flow away, the palm will remember the temperature of the water. Then, when the palm holds the water again, the palm will remember, and the water will also remember the warmth of the palm. Mid-month and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already. Tears streaming, is there any hope left? Li Qianmei eventually left with her father Blue Dream. The 5th concubine was taken away by Blue Dream. They would return to the Blue Silk clan and bring their entire clan back here. They would then pick an area in the inner realm to become the new home for the Blue Silk clan. With Tao Master Blue Dream here, although he was injured, there would be no danger unless the sovereign acted personally. Even the sovereign wouldn't dare to force Tao Master Blue Dream too much now that his Tao heart was no longer flawed. Because Tao Master Blue Dream could enter Arcane Tribulent as long as he willed it. Once the Arcane Tribulent started, even the sovereign would have to retreat. Li Qianmei disappeared into the outer realm with her father. After the two left, the blue light outside the formation slowly dissipated, and the star system became dark again. When Li Qianmei left, she was very happy. Her smile was the same as the past. She looked at Wang Lin with a tender gaze. This was the man she had chosen. She didn't regret it before, and she wouldn't regret it now. Even if she were to die because of this, she still wouldn't regret it. This was Li Qianmei's personality. At this moment, inside the wheel formation, only Wang Lin and Mu Bingmei remained. She had witnessed everything that had happened, and her mind was a mess. There were no words that could be said between the two of them. After a long time, Mu Bingmei opened her mouth to break the silence. But Wang Lin had closed his eyes to cultivate and comprehend tearing the heavens. Mu Bingmei's words dissipated in her mouth and she never spoke. Her personality was not the same as Li Qianmei. She was different from Shi Zifeng and even from Red Butterfly. She was herself, Mu Bingmei. Soon, 5 months of the last half-year passed, leaving only 1 month. On this day, Mu Bingmei stood up. There was no complication in her eyes. They were clear. She looked at Wang Lin for a long time. Take care, this was the first thing she said and the only thing. After that, Mu Bingmei turned and walked toward the brilliant void. She was the saintess of the brilliant void, so she needed to return to the brilliant void. It was as if she had accompanied Wang Lin for 11 months just to say that one line. Mu Bingmei left before the year finished. 11 months, still 1 month short. Mu Bingmei remembered this month and placed it to the side. Her lonely figure traversing among the stars looked extremely lonely and bleak. She felt weak, and anyone who saw her would feel their heartache. She had nothing else. She envied Li Muan. She also envied Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei still had her father, and Li Muan had Wang Lin, but she had no one. Her home was gone, her teacher was gone, and all the people she was familiar with, those who accompanied her as she grew up, were all dead. If there was anyone, then it would be Wang Lin. It was a fact that couldn't be changed, as she was Wang Ping's mother. Even if I die, no one will know Ping Er hates me too. Mu Bingmei's expression became dim as she walked further and further away. It wasn't until Mu Bingmei's figure disappeared that Wang Lin opened his eyes. He looked at where she disappeared to and silently pondered. Wang Lin no longer felt hatred toward Mu Bingmei, but there was also no love. 1 more month, Wang Lin's eyes became serious as he looked at the space before him. He raised his right hand and pointed to the spot between his eyebrows. With this, Wang Lin trembled and popping sounds echoed inside his body. As the popping sounds echoed, Wang Lin's body became blurry and turned illusory. It was as if 2 Wang Lin were overlapping, and the overlapping became unstable due to that point. After a few breaths, the figure distorted and another Wang Lin appeared. The overlapping figures separated and the popping sounds were gone. The blur disappeared and 2 identical Wang Lins appeared. The one sitting there was Wang Lin's original body, the one with the ancient god, ancient demon, and ancient devil stars that has the inheritance of the ancient one. The one standing was his cultivator body. There was a period of time where Wang Lin was always like this. His original body cultivated while his avatar went out. This way, he cultivated both at the same time. It had been a long time since he did this, but now his avatar was out again. His original body and avatar looked at each other. A moment later, his avatar disappeared and went into the inner realm. His original body closed his eyes and sat inside the formation to guard for the last month. Wang Lin walked through the star system in a white robe. At this moment, he no longer had a powerful physical body, but his cultivation level was still mid-stage spirit void. This was something that wouldn't change. The him right now was a pure cultivator. He would be unable to kill enemies with his body. He would have to rely on his spells. This is the last month before the 4 great generals come out of the ancient celestial realm, and there is still something I have to do. I need to reform the 4 great celestial realms into a new celestial realm. From now on, the inner realm cultivators will live in the celestial realm and will be able to condense Joss flames. All the cultivators born from now on can cultivate to become celestials. After they reach the soul formation stage, they can go to the celestial realm to cultivate. Wang Lin's expression was solemn as he moved through the inner realm. Throughout the ages, only the previous Lord of the Sealed Realm had done this. He had created the 4 celestial realms so that the inner realm cultivators could gather Joss flames. However, when he died, the 4 celestial realms collapsed and the inner realm could no longer gather Joss flames. However, now it was different. Wang Lin had destroyed the realm sealing formation and the aura of the ancient star system had flooded in. The limitation on Joss flames in the inner realm was gone, and now was the best time to reform the celestial realm. Before him, there were others that wanted to do this, but the conditions were not right. They didn't have the Lord of the Sealed Realm's treasure, and at that time, the realm sealing formation hadn't been weakened enough. Wang Lin stepped forward. The first place he went to was the Wind Celestial Realm in the Cloud Sea. The Wind Celestial Realm was well preserved and occupied by a large amount of mosquito beasts. Wang Lin's cultivation level back then wasn't high enough to shake that realm, but now he could. Also, thanks to his connection, Wang Lin knew that the mosquito beasts that had separated from him during the battle back then had survived and settled down in the Wind Celestial Realm. With a step, ripples echoed and Wang Lin disappeared. When he reappeared, he was deep in the Cloud Sea at the entrance to the Wind Celestial Realm. Returning to a familiar place, Wang Lin entered the rift and rushed into the Wind Celestial Realm. The knife-like wind howled through the Wind Celestial Realm. The sobbing of the wind was the only sound here. The desolate wind moved through the sky. The dust on the earth was peeled layer by the wind until there wasn't any dust left. After a sweep of his divine sense, Wang Lin charged forward without hesitation, his white hair waving as he moved. The wind was unable to stop Wang Lin, and not only could it not stop him, but the wind collapsed before him. Deep in the Wind Celestial Realm, there was a continent where the wind was stronger than everywhere else. There were 2 groups of mosquito beasts there, and they were slaughtering each other. Each of these 2 groups of mosquito beasts numbered in the tens of thousands, and as they fought, large amounts of casualties piled up. However, those that died were all from one group. The other group revealed bloodthirsty expressions as their mouths stabbed into the others' bodies. This group of mosquito beasts was actually unscathed. In just a moment, the flock of mosquito beasts that died and suffered heavy casualties let out mournful cries and retreated in defeat. This group of ferocious mosquitoes rushed out and surrounded them. A golden mosquito beast over 1,000 feet long that was as big as a small mountain flew out from a distant peak. The moment this mosquito appeared, a powerful pressure spread out. It looked ferocious and had a sharp mouth more than 100 feet long. When it appeared, it was as if the king had arrived. The giant mosquito beast rushed out into the group of retreating mosquito beasts. It rampaged through and was extremely fierce. Miserable screams echoed, and in a few short breaths, several thousand mosquitoes died. As the mosquito swarm behind the giant mosquito rushed out, it wasn't long before the mosquito swarm that had tens of thousands all died. Not one escaped. The giant mosquito beast was covered in the blood of its fellow clan members. There was sadness hidden in its cold eyes. In this 100-year period, it had always been sad because it couldn't find its master. It could only kill to vent its sorrow. The giant mosquito let out a sharp hiss. This was not out of excitement, but a mournful cry like an abandoned child crying at the heavens. As it hissed, the surrounding mosquito swarm also hissed. The sounds of their hisses linked together was heaven-shattering. As they hissed, a large amount of mosquito beasts flew off from this continent and quickly escaped. Some of them had very large bodies, but they also escaped in fear. In their memory, in these past 100 years, there was a group of mosquito beasts that was extremely crazy. They continued to kill and grow stronger. Whenever they came to a new continent, they would do the same and kill. If you didn't tea leave, they would do whatever it took to kill you. However, just at this moment, the giant mosquito beast suddenly trembled and its roar completely collapsed. It trembled as the coldness in its eyes collapsed, and was replaced with a sense of confusion that had disappeared for 100 years. The confusion was soon turned into excitement. The giant mosquito moved with excitement and joy. It let out another hiss, and flew into the distance like it had gone crazy. It was as if it had suddenly felt its master's aura, after being separated for a long time. It had forgotten everything and went crazy trying to find that aura. Wang Lin was in the air in the wind celestial realm. He turned to the left and revealed a happy smile. It's the middle of the month. Wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video. The wind to his left howled and a black line rushed toward him. This black line was tens of thousands of mosquito beasts, forming a shocking sight. At the front was the ferocious mosquito beast that was thousands of feet tall. Its eyes were filled with excitement, and when it saw Wang Lin, its body began to tremble. A sharp roar echoed as the mosquito beast rushed forward, directly colliding with Wang Lin. The wind created by its movements was like knives on Wang Lin's face. In particular, the scene of it charging forward was enough to terrify anyone who saw it. This mosquito beast was already accustomed to Wang Lin's powerful body, so it rushed forward in excitement. Wang Lin could only let out a wry smile. He was only here with his avatar, so he couldn't withstand the mosquito beast's fierce embrace. Wang Lin raised his right hand and gently patted forward. A ripple echoed and surrounded the mosquito beast as it closed it. This caused the mosquito beast to slow down. The mosquito beast let out an excited hiss when it arrived next to Wang Lin. Its mouth started to rub Wang Lin, and deep inside its excited gaze lay a deep sense of attachment. Wang Lin was indeed its master, but he was more like a parent. This thought was already deeply engraved into the mosquito beast's soul and would never disappear. As it rubbed Wang Lin with its mouth, the mosquito beast let out whimper, as if it was complaining about Wang Lin taking so long to come and find it. Wang Lin laughed and was very happy. In a flash, he stood on the mosquito beast and looked ahead. He saw 10 of thousands of mosquito beasts surrounding him. Some obviously knew Wang Lin, but those that joined later looked at Wang Lin with puzzled gazes. Wang Lin's heart was filled with joy after reuniting with the Mosquito King that had accompanied him for so long. He had been lonely all his life and only had a few fierce beasts with him. This mosquito beast had been with him the longest. Wang Lin patted the Mosquito King's big head and smiled. You seem a lot more powerful than before. The Mosquito King let out a roar and revealed a smug expression. Its roar seemed to be telling Wang Lin of its experience over the last 100 years, but unfortunately Wang Lin couldn't understand it. However, Wang Lin had watched it grow up, and after pondering for a bit, he guessed a few things. Okay, take me to the deepest part of the wind celestial realm. Wang Lin smiled. The Mosquito King's eyes lit up and it went on its way. It moved in a flash and quickly shot forward. The tens of thousands of mosquito beasts quickly followed, and the storm of mosquito beasts charged forward. The Mosquito King's speed was much faster than before. As Wang Lin stood on its back, he took a closer look. His eyes revealed a strange light. Although the mosquito beast wasn't weak back then, it was nowhere near as strong as it was now. It was infinitely close to a third-step cultivator, as powerful as a fifth heaven's blight cultivator. This change surprised Wang Lin greatly. It seemed as if the mosquito beast was just one step away from transforming into a terrifying force like a third-step cultivator. This was beyond Wang Lin's expectation. What kind of fortune did it obtain to progress so much? While Wang Lin was pondering, the mosquito beast let out a roar as it flew past across countless fragments. It seemed very familiar with this place, and it brought Wang Lin to the depths of the wind celestial realm. Wang Lin had been here once before, and he immediately saw the thick fog ahead. There was a giant rift inside the fog. This rift led to an unknown place and gave off a cold aura. There were several continents below the fog, and they remained the same. One of the continents had a human-shaped statue before. However, there was no trace of that statue now. The corpse of a mosquito beast 10 of thousands of feet tall laid on top of a continent. Its eyes were open, but there were no light in them, and death aura filled its body. When Wang Lin saw this, his eyes narrowed. The Mosquito King led Wang Lin into the fog and landed next to the corpse. Its mouth stabbed into the corpse, and as it inhaled, its body gave off a golden glow. The tens of thousands of mosquito beasts surrounded them, but none of them dared to come forward and absorb. Wang Lin jumped down and stood beside the corpse of the mosquito beast. This mosquito beast had been dead for many years, but its body had not rotten. Instead, it seemed dried up, but it still contained the essence of the mosquito beast. Although it had died, it still gave off a powerful pressure. Wang Lin could clearly feel this pressure, and it was similar to the pressure a third-step cultivator would give off. After carefully observing it for a bit, Wang Lin saw the fatal injury that caused its death on its neck. The injury was 3 holes, each the size of a finger. If one didn't look closely, it would be extremely difficult to find this injury. Wang Lin's pupils shrank, and he arrived beside the wound. He looked at it for a very long time before he slowly stuck 3 fingers into those 3 small holes. They fit very well. These 3 small holes were indeed made by 3 fingers penetrating through. What kind of spell could kill this beast with 3 fingers? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had seen this beast before. It was the giant mosquito beast that had struggled to fly out of the rift. Its size was different from before, but its aura was extremely similar. 3 fingers. The aura from the 3 fingers that remain on this beast feel vaguely familiar. I feel like I have sensed this somewhere before. The mosquito beast beside Wang Lin withdrew its mouth from the mosquito corpse, looking very satisfied. It looked at Wang Lin before flying up into the air and pointing its mouth at the giant rift inside the fog. Wang Lin raised his head, and his eyes lit up as he looked at the rift in the fog. The Mosquito King let out a hiss and flew toward the rift. Wang Lin stepped forward, following the Mosquito King, and they both arrived at the edge of the rift at the same time. Although it was inside the fog, the coldness that came from the rift caused Wang Lin to become alert. He didn't immediately enter. In truth, he hadn't come to the wind's celestial realm to investigate this rift. However, now that he was here and had seen the mosquito corpse along with the familiar aura from the 3 fingers, Wang Lin started to feel doubt toward this rift. What exactly was inside this rift? This was the first time Wang Lin had observed this giant rift up close. As he observed, Wang Lin slowly found something to be wrong. The edge of the rift had jagged edges, but there were marks showing that they used to be connected at some parts. While pondering, Wang Lin waved his right hand and a jade appeared in his grasp. He squeezed and a cracking sound came from the jade. The jade split in half, and there were irregular edges along the crack. When he put the 2 pieces of jade back together, it was complete once more. Then, Wang Lin injected some of his cultivation into the jade and glued it back together. Now he could only see some fine cracks. Staring at the jade, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he squeezed it again. The jade split in half once more. Some of the glued together parts separated, but new edges also formed. Holding the jade, Wang Lin took a few close looks, then he looked at the edges of the giant rift once more. His eyes slowly became bright. It's very similar. This rift must have been ripped open then mended back together, but later it was torn apart again. As a result, these edges were crafted. The second time it was ripped open was during the collapse of the wind's celestial realm, making it a haven for the mosquito beasts. Then, when was the first time the rift was opened? Who opened it? A hiss interrupted Wang Lin's thoughts. Wang Lin's mosquito beast was wandering outside the rift and looked like it really wanted to go in. It looked back at Wang Lin with an eager expression. Forget it. Let us go inside and see. Wang Lin looked at the mosquito beast and nodded. The mosquito beast let out a hiss and then flew inside the rift. From its movement, this wasn't its first time going inside. It seemed like it had gone inside more than once over the last 100 years. Wang Lin raised his foot, but he was extremely cautious. This caution had accompanied him for his entire life and would not decrease due to the increase in his cultivation level. The higher his cultivation level, the more he understood how mysterious the world was. After entering the rift, a cold aura surrounded him. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he activated his cultivation. He didn't spread out his divine sense but swept the area with his eyes. With one sweep, he was frozen and his eyes shined brightly. The inside of the rift was a bright world with large glowing ovals. These ovals were countless mosquito beast eggs. The mosquito eggs filled the area and were filled with mosquito beasts waiting to awaken. At a glance, there were millions. The deeper one went, the more eggs there were and the larger they were. There were even eggs thousands of feet large, and the mosquito beasts inside emitted a golden glow. They had completely taken form and seemed ready to wake up. The moment Wang Lin's mosquito beast entered, it let out a cheerful hiss and rushed toward a string of eggs. Its huge mouth stuck into an egg and sucked everything from it. As Wang Lin looked at all of this, he understood why his mosquito beast had changed so much. It was all because of this place. What is this place? Wang Lin spread out his divine sense as he silently pondered. He slowly expanded his divine sense until it shrouded this whole area. When his divine sense spread out, he instantly saw this whole place. At this moment, his eyes were filled with shock. He subconsciously took a few steps back and suddenly looked up. Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the video. Wang Lin's divine sense allowed him to see everything in this mysterious place. This place wasn't very big, but was like a long, narrow passage. The side of the passage was very bleak, and there were some broken areas on the side, making it seem as if this passage could collapse at any time. One end of the passage was where Wang Lin was, and the other end was very deep inside. Even Wang Lin's divine sense couldn't spread toward it, and he could only vaguely see a giant stone door. There was a piece of paper on this door. It was a paper charm that kept it sealed. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin walked forward and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was at the end of the passage, 1,000 feet away from the stone gate. No divine sense could spread past this point, and a powerful pressure prevented anyone from entering. Wang Lin stood 1,000 feet away, staring at the stone door before him, and his eyes became serious. This stone door looked very old and also had some complicated words on it. He had never seen these words before, but he could feel the ancient aura these words gave off. After some careful observation, he saw that the stone door didn't seem to be standing there perfectly. Instead, it was as if someone had forced the stone door to be here, so that it could support this passage and allow it to exist forever. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin stepped forward into the 1,000-foot area. The moment he entered, his expression changed. A powerful pressure rushed out, making it difficult for his steps to land. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This place was strange, and even now, he still had no idea what was going on. However, his right foot suddenly landed, and the entire passage rumbled. After one step, he took another step, and every step crossed several dozen feet. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in the middle of this 1,000-foot distance. Here, popping sounds came from his body as if he was going to collapse. He was not here with his ancient god body, so he could not withstand the pressure if he went further. He formed a seal with his right hand and sat down. Then he closed his eyes and pointed to between his eyebrows. Wang Lin's body suddenly trembled and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. His origin soul left his body and then a bloodlight shined. The bloodlight was his blood sword. Wang Lin fused his origin soul with the blood sword. With the protection of the blood sword, Wang Lin's origin soul flew past the last 500 feet and headed toward the stone gate. For the blood sword and his origin soul, these 500 feet passed by in a flash. The rejection force was shocking. It continued to bombard the blood sword in an attempt to shatter Wang Lin's origin soul. At the last 100 feet, the rejection force reached a terrifying degree. The blood sword trembled and Wang Lin's origin soul was about to be pushed out from inside it. His origin soul held on, and the blood sword slammed into the side of the passage to stabilize itself. Although it had stabbed into the side, the blood sword was still being pushed back. The distance of 100 feet was already very close for Wang Lin. His origin soul appeared above the blood sword, and he stared at the stone gate and the paper charm on it. Observing it closely, Wang Lin was almost certain that someone had placed this stone gate there later, and its purpose was to support this passage. There was also the paper charm on the stone door. The rejection force was coming from the paper charm. Its role was to seal the door so that no one could come in from the outside or leave from the inside. What kind of place is outside the door? Wang Lin thought quickly, but the blood sword was still being pushed back. As a result, Wang Lin went from 100 feet from the door to 200 feet. The blood sword was pushed out from the side of the passage until it was 500 feet away. Wang Lin's origin soul returned to his body and his eyes opened. If my original body was here, while the 500 feet would be difficult, I could walk to the door by using the immortal spell. However, if I were to leave now to fuse with my original body, it would waste a lot of time. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. During his life of cultivation, he had never bowed to any force. At this moment, he let out a cold snort, and his eyes formed a seal. The thunder in his left eye flashed and his thunder essence appeared. At the same time, the fire in Wang Lin's right eye raged, revealing a burning flame. He raised his hands as he sat there. His left hand was life, and his right hand was death. Open palm was karmic cause, and closed palm was karmic effect. His eyes opened and closed as the true and false essence revolved around him. In the end, a shocking slaughter aura erupted from his body. His sixth essence, the slaughter essence, rushed out. The six essences condensed between his eyebrows, and the vortex between his eyebrows appeared again before his origin soul rushed out. His origin soul returned to the blood sword with the six essences. Thunder flashed, fire burned, the three ethereal essences rotated around it, and the slaughter essence opened a path. At this moment, the blood sword charged toward the stone door 500 feet away. As it charged forward, the rejection force became even stronger, but it couldn't stop the full force of Wang Lin's cultivation. His origin soul was like an invincible sword. In a flash, he closed into 100 feet, but this time he didn't stop, he charged forward. In a flash, the blood sword stabbed directly into the stone door. The sword pierced 3 inches deep into the stone door. There was a buzz as the sword shook violently, and a powerful rejection force rushed out. It collided with Wang Lin's 6 essences and wanted to break his origin soul. The moment the blood sword pierced the paper charm and went 3 inches into the stone door, Wang Lin's origin soul felt an aura that didn't belong to the cave, but he was very familiar with. This was the aura of the immortal astral continent, the place his divine sense had explored right after his dream Tao ended. The immortal astral continent, a world that had existed for countless years. It was the size of countless inner and outer realms. Even third-step cultivators needed a very long time to cross it. The immortal astral continent was known as the most spectacular place in the universe. In the eastern part of the immortal astral continent, there was an endless mountain range. It was covered in fog and filled with celestial energy. Birds and flowers filled the area and flying cranes danced in the sky. This mountain range's size was equal to about 10%, the brilliant void star system. The mountain range looked endless, but it was merely a speck of dust compared to the entire immortal astral continent. There was a mountain in the mountain range that pierced into the sky like a sword, pointing upwards. Although it looked endlessly tall up close, it still only looked like a small hill from afar. There was a large group of palaces on this hill. This was a branch of a sect on the immortal astral continent. This sect was called the Gui Yi sect. This sect was about the same as the Seven Tao sect. It couldn't be considered a big sect. At this moment, within the main square of this branch, there was a giant clock 10,000 feet tall floating there. It looked very majestic from a distance. However, just at this moment the clock trembled and a buzz that echoed across the entire sect came from it. Several rays of light immediately flew over from the surrounding palaces. When they arrived, a shocking blood-colored light came from the clock. The moment the blood light appeared, it radiated brightly. It was as if this light had left the immortal astral continent for far too long, but today it had returned once more. A scarlet-red sword tip appeared within the bloodlight. It had stabbed 3 inches through the clock, and the shocking bloodlight was coming from it. Yi Mo's sword! One of the rays of light arrived faster than others and instantly closed in. This was a middle-aged man wearing a strange robe. His eyes shined and his peak arcane void cultivation spread out. There was a hint of arcane tribulent power coming from his arcane void cultivation. It was obvious this person had already passed an unknown amount of arcane tribulence. As he closed in, the remaining rays of light arrived, revealing 8 people. They all stood under the clock and stared at the tip of the sword that had pierced through with strange gazes. Under their gazes, the sword tip slowly retracted, and the bloodlight disappeared from the clock, leaving only the mark that would remain for eternity. Everyone silently pondered as they coldly stared at the clock. Everyone was silent. One of them slowly said, "Senior brother, should we open this Eastern pill clock?" No need for now. Before Senior Brother Ma took some people and left, he said that this clock must not be opened. He will come back on his own. Yi Mi's blood sword. It seems that the rumor that Yi Mo was lured into the cave of the Seven Tao sect is true. That 7-colored sovereign abandoned his Tao partner and sealed the Seven Tao sect. He must have obtained a valuable treasure. Senior brother Ma studied this for a long time, and used my Guiyi sect's treasure to open a passage to the cave. With senior brother Ma's cultivation level and methods, there is no need for us to worry. Inside the strange passage, the blood sword withdrew from the stone door, and Wang Lin's origin soul was in shock. The rejection force knocked the sword back 500 feet. His origin soul returned to his body, and then he grabbed the sword and retreated 1,000 feet. Wang Lin looked at the stone door with a serious expression, and his heart rate accelerated. His full cultivation was active, and he was extremely alert. He felt a sensation of his mouth turning dry. After a long time, he saw that there was still no change to the stone door. Only then did he finally let out a deep breath. Immortal astral continent. Outside this stone gate is the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin looked at the surrounding passage, and enlightenment appeared in his eyes. I understand. Welcome everyone to watch. Fans of the narrative chapter expressed their wishes for praise in the latest installment. May the new chapter receive even more acclaim. I originally thought this was the door to the seven-colored celestial sovereign's cave. However, it is obvious now that this isn't the door but a passage someone else opened. Wang Lin stared at the stone door 1,000 feet away with a gloomy expression as he retreated. As he moved, the strings of mosquito eggs gave off flickers of light, causing this whole place to look extremely bizarre. This passage should not exist. Someone opened this passage directly into the seven-colored celestial sovereign's cave. Who opened his passage? Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his brain began to work. He quickly searched his mind, looking for traces of clues. Through these clues, Wang Lin began deducing what happened back then. Who is it? Is it the madman, or someone else? Wang Lin retreated and arrived back at the place where the mosquito beast was absorbing the eggs. The mosquito beast didn't know what Wang Lin was thinking and was still happily absorbing. Its body shined as it slowly digested what it had absorbed. Just as Wang Lin retreated to the edge of the rift and was about to leave, he suddenly stopped and looked up. Lightning rumbled in his mind as he remembered something. At the Scattered Thunder Clan, I learned that a long time ago a group of mysterious people appeared. They wore strange clothes and had unprecedented spells and treasures. When I absorbed the Eternal Thunderbolt, I saw its memory and saw vague images of that group of people. There was also the Soul Lasher. That whip was a treasure that belonged to them. I had thought about going to the planet 5 Elements to find Naduo. The leader of that group looked like Naduo. From the news of the Scattered Thunder Clan, those mysterious cultivators came from the outside the ancient star system. However, there is nothing outside, so they are clearly cultivators from the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly, and his mind became clear as he continued to analyze. He didn't hear the words of the people in the Guiyi sect, but as Wang Lin continued to analyze, he gradually began to grasp the truth. A bold speculation appeared in his heart. The seven-color celestial sovereign of the Seven Dao sect won the heavenly Dao and abandoned his Dao partner. He sealed the Seven Dao sect and comprehended the heavenly Dao inside his cave. However, his behavior caused others to become suspicious. On a certain day, someone with amazing talent on the immortal astral continent used a special method to open up a direct passage to the seven-colored celestial sovereign's cave. They arrived through this passage. These people are the mysterious cultivators that the Scattered Thunder Clan met. They didn't first appear in the outer realm, but in the Wind Celestial realm. However, no one in the Wind Celestial realm noticed their appearance. They sealed this passage and left the Wind Celestial realm. Perhaps they had searched the inner realm, but in the end they left the realm sealing formation and went to the outer realm. Then, for countless years, they disappeared. After a long time, the 4 celestial realms collapsed, and the passage that was sealed suffered damage. Perhaps it was always unstable, or a passage to somewhere else opened up. There are many possibilities, but the end result is that it attracted a group of mosquito beasts from an unknown place. These mosquito beasts reproduced inside the passage and ripped open the seal. They rushed into the collapsed Wind Celestial realm and occupied this place. Various images appeared in Wang Lin's mind. They were all illusory, things he imagined. He looked at the end of the passage and pondered. Unveil eye. This is the second time this rift has been opened. However, it is obvious that these people still exist in this cave and they haven't left. Otherwise, this stone door and passage wouldn't exist. They would sealed it completely and leave no trace so they couldn't be detected in the future. Since they haven't left, where are they? Planet 5 elements. They haven't found what they want yet. Perhaps what they want is the same as the 7-colored Taoist and old ghost John. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. These people must have this idea. Wang Lin's body moved, and his right hand reached toward the mosquito. He was going to bring the mosquito out of the rift with him. However, the mosquito beast revealed a reluctant gaze as it looked at all the eggs. It let out a hiss at Wang Lin. Wang Lin turned and looked at the millions of mosquito eggs. His eyes lit up and he waved his right hand. A gust of wind rushed through the passage, causing the eggs to disappear. They were put into Wang Lin's storage space. The Mosquito King hissed cheerfully and was no longer reluctant to leave as it followed Wang Lin out of the rift. Outside in the wind's celestial realm, the wind howled and fog covered the rift. Wang Lin stood beside the rift and his hands formed a seal. Then his hands closed together and the edges of the rift trembled. Soon the rift closed in and melded back together. After sealing the rift, Wang Lin's right hand began forming seals until it became blurry. Endless restrictions appeared, landing on the rift. In the blink of an eye, the countless seals completely shrouded the rift. After doing all of this, Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit, but still felt worried. He raised his right hand at the void and the world rumbled. The giant head he got from the ancient tomb that was used to grow the ancient leaves suddenly appeared. There was still a large amount of dried trees on it, but a lot of ancient leaves had grown. 3 years ago, when Wang Lin absorbed all those ancient clan statues in the ancient celestial realm, he had been slowly sending ancient power into this place. These ancient leaves had grown as a result of that. With one wave, a few dozen complete ancient leaves flew off the trees and flew into Wang Lin's hand. He waved his hand and these leaves landed on the sealed rift, sealing it once more. After doing all of this, Wang Lin collected the remaining ancient leaves and put the head back into his storage space. He then waved his sleeve and left this fog with the Mosquito King. As the rift was sealed, it disappeared without a trace. The fog around it also thinned until it disappeared completely. Floating there, Wang Lin lowered his head and looked at the wind celestial realm below him. His divine sense spread out and covered the entire wind celestial realm. The entire wind celestial realm appeared in his mind. The collapse of the wind celestial realm was not irreversible, and because of the mosquito beasts, the collapse was not very complete. This place was much better than the rain or thunder celestial realms. As for the lightning celestial realm, Wang Lin had never gone there, so he didn't know the changes that had occurred there. Launch art. Then let us use this wind celestial realm as the foundation. If the lightning celestial realm is as well preserved, then it can be integrated as well. Wang Lin took a breath and raised his hands. His spirit void cultivation rushed out into his divine sense, which had shrouded the entire wind celestial realm. The fragments of the wind celestial realm gathered from all directions, as if an invisible force was pushing them toward the center. As the countless fragments rumbled, even the endless wind began to collapse. The mosquito beasts that had lived here for a long time all flew into the air. They were all terrified as they looked around in a daze. Gather. Wang Lin's white hair flowed in the wind as he let out roar, and his raised hands suddenly clapped together. With Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he was able to make the countless wind celestial realm fragments gather once more. Mid-stage spirit void was powerful even among the third step cultivators. There were very few of these in the inner and outer realms. The earth continued to tremble as it moved slowly, thunderous rumbles echoing. At this moment, if one looked from above, the wind celestial realm was like a scattered mirror, where the pieces were slowly moving toward each other and finally fusing back together. The moment they gathered, a complete continent suddenly appeared. The wind in the sky suddenly collapsed. There was no trace left behind. The countless mosquito beasts in the sky trembled. They detected Wang Lin and the terrifying power coming from him. Over the last 100 years, many mosquito beasts had been killed by Wang Lin's Mosquito King. All the powerful mosquito beasts had all died for some reason years ago. The remaining weren't strong enough to cause any problems. After reforming the wind celestial realm, Wang Lin landed on the continent and sat down. He closed his eyes and his divine sense spread out. He fused with this continent and controlled it to fly forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Under Wang Lin's control, he brought the wind celestial realm out of the world it existed in by force and into the cloud sea. The continent floated there. emitting magnificent amounts of celestial energy. This celestial energy was different from what was on the immortal astral continent. It has been changed by Joss flames and was a celestial energy that belonged to the cave world. A long time the Lord of the Celestial Realm created these 4 continents to gather Joss flames. As a result, the continents of the 4 celestial realms were different from normal. Those mosquito beasts were on the continent and was suppressed by Wang Lin's pressure, so they couldn't fly out. They could only tremble and move with the continent. The stars rumbled and Wang Lin sat on the continent. Although his eyes were closed, his divine sense controlled the continent to fly towards Summoned River. He was going to the Lightning Celestial Realm. The Lightning Celestial Realm was the only celestial realm Wang Lin hadn't been to. That place gave off countless bright lights that created a gorgeous reflection. 1. The mummy who Wang Lin stole a bag of holding from back on planet Suzaku that came to Wang Lin to get it back. He was also the one who told Wang Lin the planet crystal might help break the limit of the Jai realm. I awaits. Today marks the first watch, longing for the like button for the VIDEO. The VIDEO wants to charge up the trending charts, hoping the veteran supporters lend their firepower. The howl echoed across the stars, and this sound became even more intense. Under Wang Lin's control, the large Wind Celestial Realm continent charged out. After reclaiming the Summoned River, some of the Summoned River cultivators in Al-Heaven had returned to their hometown in the last 3 years. They were familiar with this place, and they would recover better there. The Lightning Celestial Realm of the Summoned River was very different from the other 3. It was completely open, and as long as one entered the northern part of the Summoned River, they would clearly see the bright Silver River. This Silver River was the Lightning Celestial Realm. Wang Lin had come to the Summoned River several times, but each time he was in a rush. He had seen this Silver River too and knew it was the Lightning Celestial Realm, but he had never entered. The Wind Celestial Realm rushed in, and the moment it appeared in the Summoned River, a ripple spread out along with its powerful pressure. The Wind Celestial Realm continent slowly stopped before the Silver River in the north. Wang Lin stood up and looked at the Lightning Celestial Realm. He stepped forward and entered the Silver River. The Silver River contained countless small fragments. The lights coming from them formed this eternal Silver River. On the 3rd step since Wang Lin entered the Lightning Celestial Realm, he stepped out from the Silver River, looking tired. He waved his hand, and the entire Silver River shook. The Silver River flew toward the Wind Celestial Realm continent, and slowly rotated around it. As it rotated, the Wind Celestial Realm continent was shrouded by this Silver River. From afar, it was very beautiful. The destruction of the Lightning Celestial Realm is irreparable. It can only exist as a guardian river for the future Celestial Realm. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he controlled the Wind Celestial Realm continent and the Silver River to leave. The 3rd place he was going to go was the Thunder Celestial Realm in Al-Heaven. Wang Lin was very familiar with the Thunder Celestial Realm as he had been to many places there. Soon, the giant Wind Celestial Realm continent surrounded by the Silver River appeared in Al-Heaven. The ripples caused by their appearance were immediately noticed by the recovering cultivators in Al-Heaven. They all trembled and spread out their divine senses. What they saw shocked them. At the entrance of the Thunder Celestial Realm, the bolts of thunder at the gate had long disappeared, pulled away by Wang Lin years ago. Upon returning to this familiar place, he didn't hesitate to step into the Thunder Celestial Realm. The collapse of the Thunder Celestial Realm was too destructive. A lot of the continents were taken by Master Flame's Park, and after all the things that happened, very little remained. The entire Thunder Celestial Realm was in ruin and was filled with desolation. It was extremely unstable here, as if it could collapse on a large scale at any moment. Looking at everything before him, Wang Lin let out a sigh. This place can no longer be used. The Thunder Celestial Realm is unsalvageable. After pondering for a moment, Wang Lin shook his head and withdrew his divine sense, then he turned to leave. Deep within the Thunder Celestial Realm was old Ghost John, and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. Although Wang Lin couldn't perceive his presence, he could see Wang Lin. To gather the 4 celestial realms, how much does he know? Is he the 3rd one? Old Ghost John pondered, not stopping Wang Lin from leaving. The moment Wang Lin walked out from the Thunder Celestial Realm, his eyes shined an undetectable amount. When his divine sense first spread out, he didn't notice old Ghost John. However, the heaven-defying bead inside his body suddenly moved and released a strange power. With this power, Wang Lin suddenly noticed old Ghost John looking at him from the depths of the Thunder Celestial Realm. Wang Lin didn't act recklessly, but left without revealing any change in his mood. So he is still hiding here. After leaving the Thunder Celestial Realm, Wang Lin moved at full speed toward the last celestial realm, the brilliant Void-S Rain Celestial Realm. Several days later, Wang Lin stood at the intersection of the 4 celestial realms. In less than half a month, Wang Lin had gone to all 4 celestial realms and gathered enough resources to reform the celestial realm. Looking at the space of the inner realm, Wang Lin closed his eyes. A moment later, he suddenly opened his eyes and pointed at the space below him. The Wind Celestial Realm continent will act as the root of the new celestial realm. After he spoke, the Wind Celestial Realm continent flew out from behind Wang Lin toward where he pointed. As it moved, it released a powerful pressure, and celestial energy filled the area. It was located at the intersection of the 4 star systems. If it was divided by star system, each star system would occupy more than 20%. The new celestial realm isn't big, but the dust of the Rain Celestial Realm will help make it expand. Wang Lin waved his hand, and the endless dust he had gathered in the Rain Celestial Realm flew out. The moment the dust appeared, it fused with the new celestial realm. As layers and layers landed, it caused a thick layer of dust to form on the new celestial realm. Just at this moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed his 5 fingers at the sky. Then his eyes lit up and a giant palm print appeared in the sky. This palm print was the War Spirit print. The moment the print appeared, it slammed down toward the continent with Wang Lin's control. The palm print was powerful, but had no destructive force. Instead, the pressure of the palm was used to condense the dust. As the dust condensed, the continent began to expand. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the continent expanded a large amount. From afar, it was already incomparably large. The lightning celestial realm's silver river will protect the new celestial realm. This river will divide the mortals from the celestials so that no cultivator under the soul formation stage can enter. This is law. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and the silver river flew over. It surrounded the entire continent and gave off a burst of silver light. Under this light, the new celestial realm became its own realm. Wheel formation. Make this new celestial realm the core of the formation. Fuse the aura of the ancient star system here. Wang Lin bit the tip of his tongue and spat out essence blood. It sprayed on the new celestial realm and the silver river. When his blood fell, the wheel formation that surrounded the inner realm suddenly activated. A giant wheel shadow appeared above the new celestial realm. It continued to absorb large amounts of outer realm aura and then injected it into the new celestial realm. This realm has been formed, but it is only rudimentary. However, it is no longer necessary for me to worry about how it will change in the future right now. The last thing to do is connect the souls of all the cultivation planets in the 4 star systems to the new celestial realm. Then all the mortals that become cultivators will be led to the celestial realm once they reach the soul formation stage. Wang Lin sat above the illusory wheel that floated above the continent. At the same time, due to Wang Lin's actions during the last half-month, all the inner realm cultivators knew what was happening. Wang Lin had sent out a message, and under the command of Qin Lin and others, the remaining cultivators scattered across the 4 star systems. They went to every planet and continent where life could appear. The formation of the new celestial realm was not something Wang Lin could do alone. All he was doing was creating land itself. In fact, Master Hongshan and others could do this as well, but they still needed to heal after the war. Also, they dawned to know the secret that this whole place was just a cave, so they couldn't see further. Only Wang Lin knew everything. He understood the meaning of responsibility, and there was something he needed to do. Wang Lin knew that the war with the outer realm was about to come to an end, or it was already over. However, the inner realm was about to face an even bigger test. Either he would pass this test and lead the people out of the cave, or he would fail and everyone in the cave would die. All life would be destroyed, and after tens of thousands of years under the heavenly Tao, new life would appear like a reincarnation cycle. Perhaps one day, after countless years, there will be any baby named Wang Lin that will be born. The tens of thousands of remaining inner realm cultivators appeared everywhere in the last half-month in the 4 star systems. They each took a part of the soul of a planet and then moved on to another one. In the last 3 days of the last month, the tens of thousands of cultivators returned one by one. They offered the parts of the planet's souls they had taken. and these souls fused with the new celestial realm. When the last cultivator returned, the new celestial realm contained the souls of all the planets in the 4-star systems that could hold life. Now all the cultivators that appeared would be led to the new celestial realm once they reached the soul formation stage. After doing all of this, Wang Lin's divided origin soul returned to his body. He opened his eyes and clasped his hands at the tens of thousands of inner realm cultivators looking at him. I am about to go on a trip, and I don't know if I'll survive or not. I'll not hold the title of Lord of the Sealed Realm. Guarding for 3 years and forming the new celestial realm are the last things I'll do. Now I'm going to defy the celestials. If I succeed, then the celestials will collapse. If I lose, then I'll die. Situ, if I die, I hope you will tell everyone what I told you. Record it in a jade. Place it on every planet, within every treasure, and in this new celestial realm. Even if all sentient beings are destroyed, this will be something the heavens can destroy. Give the future generation a chance of knowing the truth. Wang Lin looked up and flew off into the distance. His back was filled with absolute loneliness. Behind him, the tens of thousands of cultivators, including Qing Lin, Master Hongshan, Situ Nan, and others, all clasped their hands at Wang Lin. For now, just the first watch today. Leo will rest tonight and start catching up on the missed chapters tomorrow. Wang Lin didn't understand what a powerful person was when he was young. He only knew that the neighbor's children were stronger than him, so they were powerful people. Wang Lin only understood what responsibility was a few years ago, after more than 2,000 years of cultivation. The Lord of the Sealed Realm was a powerful person, and being that person came with responsibility. Wang Lin didn't have this title for long, but it had pushed him toward a true sense of maturity for cultivators. This kind of maturity was a spiritual feeling, a sense of self-empowerment. Only after understanding responsibility could one truly become powerful. This perhaps seems a bit empty, but the most direct example of a powerful person to Wang Lin was his father. His father was only a mortal, but to the young Wang Lin, his father was powerful. At the same time, he carried the burden of the family. He was like a mountain that shielded Wang Lin and his mother from the wind and rain. As long as his father was there, his home was there. This was a powerful person. Wang Lin had cultivated for more than 2,000 years. At this moment, he slowly comprehended a lot from his memories of his father. Things in this world were often like this, to use the smaller things to see the bigger picture. He had guarded the inner realm for 3 years, created the new celestial realm, and killed countless until his hands were dyed red with blood, but he couldn't look back. He could only move forward until he either died or broke the obstacles before him. He would continue to walk the path toward the future. His white figure was like a willow leaf floating among the stars. It had no root, but it was not lost. It quickly fluttered as if it was looking for something and was eventually engulfed by the darkness of space, leaving no trace behind. Wang Lin's original body was sitting in the wheel formation in the cloud sea. In the last 3 days of the 3rd year, he slowly opened his cold eyes. He turned around and looked into the inner realm. In his gaze, his avatar walked closer and closer from the inner realm. His steps caused no ripples and didn't cause any rumbles, but every step was extremely heavy. Wang Lin's avatar arrived next to his original body. He turned his head and looked back toward the inner realm like his original body. This was like a picture. If it could be preserved, it would become a legacy. In this picture, the sea of stars was the background, and the wheel formation was the hue. 2 identical faces stood there, gazing into the distance. After a long time, Wang Lin's avatar turned around and stepped toward his original body. A soft light shined as his avatar fused with his original body. Popping sounds echoed as Wang Lin's white hair fluttered, and he stood up. He redirected his cold gaze toward the outer realm. The last 3 days, then the 4 generals of the ancient celestial realm will appear. The final secret of this cave will be revealed, unfortunately. Even now, I don't know what that 3rd thing is, Wang Lin silently pondered. However, no matter what, this final battle will be very interesting. 7-colored Taoist, old Goshan, the 4 celestial generals that want the celestial sovereign to awaken. And finally, the cultivator from the immortal astral continent that came from the passage in the wind celestial realm. Before all this, let me begin a chaotic prelude for this final battle. Wang Lin's eyes shined, and he stepped off the wheel formation, heading toward the ancient star system. Destroy the outer realm's ancient celestial realm. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent as he charged into the ancient star system. He turned into a ray of light and charged forward while releasing his full cultivation. He didn't hide his aura or his figure. He directly told the entire outer realm that he, Wang Lin, had arrived. The stars rumbled, and as Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, all the powerful cultivators of various clans were shaken. No matter what they were doing, they all looked up at the sky. They could clearly feel a shocking killing intent coming from the inner realm. Wang Lin didn't know where the outer realm's ancient celestial realm was, and he didn't blindly search for it. Instead, he went into the depths of the ancient star system. He didn't know where it was, but it didn't matter. In 3 days, when the ancient celestial realm in the inner realm opened, and the 4 generals descended, he would be able to sense the outer realm's ancient celestial realm that would open at the same time. As Wang Lin's divine sense swept across the ancient star system, the sovereign was in his other palace, staring straight ahead. His dried-up right hand clenched in a fist and didn't loosen for a long time. He silently pondered for a long time, and in the end, he couldn't make up his mind to kill Wang Lin. He feared Wang Lin's bow a lot, and before Wang Lin used up those last 2 shots, he wouldn't dare to act. 2 years ago, he wanted to launch a sneak attack during the chaos, but he had been detected by Wang Lin. Then he was forced to helplessly retreat when Wang Lin called him out. He appeared in the ancient star system. Why did he come? Is he trying to provoke me so he could lure me out and kill me? The sovereign's eyes were filled with suspicion. He couldn't understand why Wang Lin would so arrogantly appear in the ancient star system. This old man won't get close. I want to see what he can do. The sovereign could only suffer silently. His cultivation was heaven-piercing, and if not for his worry about the bow, he would immediately kill Wang Lin. Also in the ancient star system, in the vortex formed by several stars where 7-colored light shined, was the 7-colored Taoist. He had an indifferent gaze as he looked into the distance and revealed a faint smile. The Li Guang bow and arrow are in his hands. Although I told the sovereign to hand it out, it is still his own fortune. Now that he came here again, what is he going to do? He is very similar to old Ghost John. If he is not the third, then he is a mysterious existence in his cave world. A cultivator like him, if he is not the third one, then it would be a pity to kill him. However, he has a flaw, and if he doesn't die in the end, he can be used by me. The 7-colored Taoist withdrew his gaze. The blood formation is complete, so soon I'll know where the third one that had reincarnated countless times is. I have searched for you for countless years. I want to know who the present you is after so many reincarnations. In the ancient star system, on a cultivation planet, sat a woman in white. She was very beautiful but had a cold aura that made her feel like an ice mountain. It was as if she was made of snow. Her eyes were closed, but at this moment she suddenly opened them. It's him! This woman was the third of the celestial sovereign's 8 concubines. She hadn't participated in the war against the inner realm. Instead, after leaving the ancient tomb, she remained here, silently waiting for something. For him to appear here, what is he going to do? Also in the ancient star system, there was a huge rift. In this rift, filled with birds and flowers, the 7th concubine sat. At this moment, the 7th concubine opened her eyes, her gaze revealing a strange light. What is he going to do? These were not the only people who had guesses about Wang Lin's action. Even people like Tao Master Miao Yin, Devil Master 9 Heaven, and company all awakened from their healing. They looked at the stars with gloomy expressions. Wang Lin's presence gave them a large amount of pressure because of the bow in his hand. Almost all third-step cultivators locked onto Wang Lin's aura from a distance. They didn't know what Wang Lin was going to do, so they were very serious. When these third-step cultivators' divine senses locked onto Wang Lin, he stopped flying. At this moment, he was already near the center of the ancient star system. No matter where he needed to go, he could get there almost instantly. After he stopped, Wang Lin sat down and closed his eyes. He began to silently cultivate as he waited. His behavior shocked all the third-step cultivators who were observing him. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, there were only 12 hours left of the last 3 days of the 3rd year. Once these 12 hours passed, a shocking change would occur in the cave world. However, at this moment, aside from Wang Lin, no one else knew it was going to happen. Not even the seven-colored Taoist and old Ghost John had control over this matter. There might be one other person who would have a feeling something was happening. That would be the All-Seer, who was sitting on that piece of rock in the summoned river that Wang Lin hadn't detected. The All-Seer's eyes revealed a strange light as he lowered his head, and his hands continued to change before him. As he divinated, his eyes became brighter and brighter, and he revealed an exhilarated expression. Almost there the last 12 hours. Wang Lin's figure remained motionless, as he slowly cultivated to maintain his aura at its peak. He also kept the drop of celestial blood fully active. 11 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours soon the 3-year period was about to end. When there was only 4 hours left, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. When he did this, everyone who was observing him was shocked and had many speculations. It's that thing. Wang Lin turned his head toward the right and gradually revealed a strange expression. To the right of Wang Lin, in the distant stars, there was a group of hundreds of ancient star system cultivators flying over. Their hair was a mess, and they had some unknown substance smeared over their faces. They were very colorful and strange. As they moved forward, they roared loudly at the same time. The celestial dragon reveals the Tao. Believe my words and avoid world destruction disaster. Don't ye believe me and all will perish. The celestial dragon is mighty. The celestial dragon is mighty. The celestial dragon reveals Tao. Believe in this apostle. It will take us to the endless celestial realm and become immortal. As the word spread, thousands more cultivators came after the first few hundred. They all let out the same roars. Not paying attention, this chapter quickly racks up 5,000 words. Does that qualify as a major chapter? Could it be wishing for the like button for the video? Chapter Land of the Ancient God. Obligatory note. Okay, I have got news. Firstly, Nomyumi feels that he won't be able to devote enough time to TLC due to RL as well as his own personal project. So, if possible, I would like if someone could volunteer as a TLC. It requires knowledge of Chinese and basically reading through the unedited chapter to check if the translation is roughly accurate. So, with the two options being A, defer the project indefinitely till another TLCer arrives to help, which I know won't happen, or B, just roll with it. I chose option B. With that said, I guess it's just been a long time since you guys had to deal with my raw MTL legislations. But seriously, if you guys feel quality deteriorating, because it will, do mention specific paragraphs where you feel that chapter is wonky or difficult to understand. I will try to word it differently. Anyways, over with the rant. Enjoy this longer chap. TLC and editing. Void. P.S. Hooray for 8 million viewers. Thanks for all the interest you all show in this project and help continue it by showing your enthusiasm towards it. Even if this old hunchback dies, he would bury the entire giant devil race alongside him. A hoarse voice came unhurriedly from the sky, sounding enormous and powerful. As it increased in intensity, a huge green toad appeared on the distant horizon. As the toad dropped down at a distance, the ground issued a loud bang sound. Even from far away, Wang Lin could feel the ground shaking. Soon after, the toad kicked out with his hind legs and his huge body suddenly jumped up into the sky like lightning, only to immediately disappear and appear not far from everyone else. As his body dropped down from the sky, it was similar to a hill pressing down, about 10 feet away from Wang Lin and others. It felt like a crash, and the fog in the surroundings was blown far away like crazy. With the dispersing of the fog, a huge toad came into view. There were numerous tall pimples on the back of the toad. These pimples slowly contracted one by one, and spiritual force fluctuations burst out from inside. The huge toad's eyes turned, and in them a very thick bloodthirst emerged. On top of the toad sat a man who was wearing a green robe. He had a short stature. His back was high and shaped like a hunchback. His eyes were like triangles. He had a tiny chin and a monkey-like mouth. In his eyes light flashed. His face was like that of a toad covered with swollen pus-filled lumps, which shed an unpleasant odor. The person as a whole had a very hideous appearance. Touching the pustules on his face, he said in a hoarse voice while smiling cruelly. Those old codgers of giant devil race who were chasing after this hunchback for 300 years were all killed by me as I poisoned all of them, were it not for the 1,000 years' time ending. And me having to turn up here again, this old hunchback would have certainly been killing the giant devil race, hunting them down for the sake of revenge. With that said, he, while holding his humped back, tapped with his foot on the toad. The toad was intelligent and put out his blood-red tongue pointing towards the ground. The hunchback riding on the tongue slowly came down. He coughed while he gently and slowly walked to the ground. After he reached the ground, he waved his right hand. Then the huge toad immediately shrank and became palm-sized, jumped onto his shoulder. After falling face down, it pulled in at S stomach, which let out gurgling sounds. Within an area of 3 feet from the moment he stood, the ground immediately began emitting a sound like chi-chi, and from the ground a trace of black cues slowly came out. Wang Lin remained quiet but took a step back. He coldly looked on. As he realized this man was good at using poisons, his wariness increased again. 6 Desires Devil Lord frowned, and looking at the green-robed hunchback said in a heavy voice, "Didn't he see you in 1,000 years? How much more concentrated has your toxic odor become?" Old hunchback rolled his eyes and cruelly said, 6 Desires Devil Lord, others may fear your 6 Desires Devil technique, but this old man isn't he afraid. 1,000 years ago, you and I were evenly matched, but you won't be able to repeat that feat today. Then he touched the shoulder of the today and laughed cruelly. 6 Desires Devil Lord stared at the other person indifferently. Immediately spiritual force fluctuations arose between the two. However, the two quickly turned around and restrained their spiritual forces. At this time, Goody was looking on coldly from about 10 feet away, slowly said, "All have arrived." This old man grabbed an ice windsail from 4th-ranked Fusion country. This first barrier, we should be able to complete majority of it. "I awaits," 6 Desires Devil Lord said with a cold voice. "The latter half of the first barrier, I will take up the duty of resisting." The hunchback surnamed Meng touched the pustules on his face and said in a hoarse voice, "As for the second barrier, this old hunchback will take care of it." Duan Muji, pointing at Wang Qingyue in the distant crushed stone zone, said in a heavy voice, "This man Wang Qingyue is an expert in 5 elements escape technique, can be of some use to use. Moreover, this little friend excels at death curse technique. Regarding the third barrier's divine consciousness attack, we can depend entirely on him." Hunchback surnamed Meng swept his dark eyes over Wang Lin, but remained silent. 6 Desires Devil Lord stepped towards the transfer formation and used both of his hands to form strange seals. The formation array, after emitting spirit light, began to fracture from the inside out. Bursts of smoke began to be shed from the formation, and when the smoke stopped coming out, the transfer formation was completely broken up. After this, he looked on it for a little while, then in a flash, he moved up quickly. With every forward step he took, he pressed spirit light into the ground. The faster his body moved, the more spirit light. His body almost turned into a blur. At first glance, it would seem as if there were numerous clones located in every position of the formation simultaneously. Not long after, the blurs had all but disappeared, leaving only the main body standing in the middle of the formation. He waved his hand, and immediately a lot of precious materials flew out from his storage bag, followed by him spraying a massive purple flame from his mouth. Under this flame, the materials turned into liquid at once. 6 Desires Devil Lord gestured with his hands, and these colorful liquids, in accordance to preset guidelines, fell into the formation array. When the liquid entered the array, the entire transfer formation suddenly exuded thunderous roaring bursts of sound. At the same time, a transfer formation differing from the previous one appeared in front of the group. Even the symbols inside the transfer formation were more than doubled. Besides that, 10 beams of light emerged from the transfer formation straight to the horizon. A strip like a wandering disembodied creature would sometimes appear in these light beams. The light beams would quickly shake and send out waves of silent cries. 6 Desires Devil Lord took a deep breath and shouted, "The formation is open. Quickly throw in the best quality Lingxi has already agreed. This old man has already taken out 4. Then, 4 best quality Lingxi shining like diamonds flew out from his storage bag. After the 4 best quality Lingxi appeared, as if led by an invisible force. The 4 of them flew into 4 light beams and began floating motionless within them. The changes emerging here also caught the attention of Wang Qingyu, who was fighting in the distant strip of crushed stones. He was already at a disadvantage by now. The attacks of the clones flowed like an endless stream. Coupled with their higher level of cultivation, it was enough to throw him into panic. The slightest mistake would cause him to lose his life on the spot. He had been stiffly compelled out by the strip of crushed stones. But the color of bloodthirst was becoming more and more concentrated in his eyes. After seeing the formation change, he hesitated a little, and quickly pulling back, abruptly came out from the zone of crushed stones. His eyes flashed as he instantly arrived by the side of Duan Muji. He stared at the transfer array and the 4 best quality Lingxi in the light beams. In his eyes, a color of greed flashed. After he returned, the clones in the crushed stone region slowly dissipated, turning back into pieces of crushed stones, continuing their slow circular movement. Wang Lin also stared at the best quality Lingxi. Inwardly, he was also palpitating with excitement. He knew that Sea of Devils was enormous. If not for this ancient transfer formation, then it would have taken too long to cross it, and many dangers would have appeared en route. However, the only way to use this ancient transfer formation was to have best quality Lingxi, but these best quality Lingxi were too rare, which had led to it being passed down in the Sea of Devils since time immemorial. Several ancient transfer formations ended up being abandoned, and now most of them had been completely scrapped. At this time, Goody patted his storage bag and took out treasure like 2 pieces of best quality Lingxi, and after looking at them once, threw them out with his hand. The 2 pieces immediately began to fly into 2 light beams and floated motionless in them. "Make yours." Duan Muji clenched his teeth, then pulled out of his pocket the 2 remaining best quality Lingxi. Glancing at them sadly, he threw them out, now amongst the 10 light beams. 8 of them had Lingxi floating in them. The next person was Hunchback Meng. He slapped the toadess shoulders. Immediately the toadess abdomen bulged slightly, and as he suddenly opened his mouth, 2 beams came out, which one after the other flew into the light beams. At this moment, each of the 10 light beams contained a best quality Lingxi. The light beams suddenly darkened, both ends disappeared, and condensed on top of the Lingxi. These 10 pieces of Lingxi looked like 10 suns sending out dazzling rays of light, as they slowly fell onto the transfer formation. At this moment, the transfer formation immediately shook, and started to spin slowly. 6 Desires, Devil Lord's eyes revealed a trace of excitement, as shouted in a low tone. 1,000 years ago 100 of us had entered. We hadn't really made it into the interior. Just the restrictions on the outside made our lives hard. We had to return in disappointment from the 3rd barrier. At that time we 4 people were lucky enough to survive. 1,000 years since, our cultivation has also grown. This time we will certainly get rid of the restrictions and enter the place to explore. Even Goody couldn't help but reveal a bright light in his eyes as he stepped into the formation. Followed by the trio of Hunchback Meng, Duan Muji, and 6 Desires Devil Lord, followed by the youth. Wang Qingyu, after remaining silent for a while, also entered. Wang Lin pondered with his head bowed a bit, then with his eyes flashing, also went inside. All 7 people were inside the formation. 6 Desires Devil Lord let out a low shout, and the formation with a bang started moving. The 10 best quality Lingxi exploded one by one. Huge waves of spiritual force surged out like crazy, and even the mountain valley was turning into flying ash under these waves. And even that zone of crushed stones couldn't help but become sluggish. After a long time, the spiritual force waves dissipated. The transfer formation was now beyond recognition, torn apart. It couldn't be used again. At a plain field inside chaotic broken star, in midair emerged an oval-shaped aperture. The insides of this aperture were dark, rendering it impossible to see its details. Under this aperture was a transfer formation, the insides of which shine with a bright sparkling light, only to reveal 7 figures. Goody was the first to come out, staring at the top of the oval aperture. His eyes revealed a trace of frenzy. He jumped up and instantly appearing outside the aperture, after turning out a few laps, said with a heavy voice, "In these 1,000 years, nobody must have come to this place. The seals we had originally placed at that time are still intact." With that, he stretched out his hands. The outsides of the apertures continuously waved. Sometimes a trace of black silk would be shed from within, only to drill into his hands and vanish without a trace. Wang Lin could clearly feel that the trio of Duan Muji, 6 Desires Devil Lord, and Hunchback Meng were visibly relieved after hearing that. He looked around. This plain inside chaotic broken star appeared endless. One couldn't see the edge, and the sky was dark. Wang Lin knew that there must be some kind of formidable restriction. Inside this plane there was a silence, but it didn't feel even the slightest bit out of place. At this time, 6 Desires Devil Lord's glance swept over Wang Qingyu and Wang Lin, as he said in a heavy tone, "Welcome to the chaotic broken star. Regardless of whether Duan Muji has mentioned this to you too, I have to emphasize again. Launch I. Through this oval aperture, we will enter a mystical space. According to the records of legacy that we obtained, there is a corpse of an ancient god. The power of the ancient god originates from its body. Even a weak ancient god has a body almost as big as UK planet. I can tell you that an adult ancient goddess body is equivalent in physical size to countless Yuzuka planets. The reason that it is said that there are countless treasures here is because even after ancient gods dies, their divine consciousness is immortal, but it goes into a state of deep sleep. If one can enter its body and obtain their memories, then the practice methods stored could be used by even the most casual of persons to let out extraordinary magical power. As for magic weapons, ancient gods do not use storage bags. So since there is no storage bag which can be used to store treasures by ancient gods, an adult ancient god stores treasures in its body, and you can get them if you're lucky. As for immortal pills, ancient goddess cultivation is inseparable from immortal pills. They take things the quality of which is far more precious and beyond our imagination, but do not digest all of it. The remnants of these are stored inside the body's meridians. This time our goal is the Ying Beyond Dan. This pill can be found in the ancient goddess meridians. Light flashed in Wang Qingyu's eyes. The corners of his mouth turned as he stared at the oval aperture in the air and pondered. Hunchback Meng, touching the pustules on his face, said with a hoarse voice, 6 desires, Duanmu. This time there are many people. Even if it's not able to break the restrictions, it's okay. But if by chance we are able to break through, how would the items gained be divided? 6 desires. Devil Lord looked at Wang Qingyu and said in a heavy voice, those who reach the end and after entering obtain items, 1 person 1 item would be the allocation. As for the Ying Biandan, that would depend on individual ability. Duan Muji laughed and smilingly said, mentioning this thing now is too premature. Break the restrictions first, then talk about it. Hunchback Meng's fierce gaze swept away, and landing on the youth behind 6 desires. Devil Lord, he smiled cruelly and said, this little friend don't know what help he's going to be to us when we have to break the restrictions. 6 desires. Devil Lord glanced to Wang Lin, and with an icy tone said, like him, can be used at the 3rd barrier. He is a cultivator from 3rd-ranked Shuzhen country Tianzhu. He is good at ghost and spirit technique, and may be able to affect those organisms in the 3rd barrier. This Shu walked a few years just to find him. Turns out to be this, hey, the previous time we had stopped at the 3rd barrier. Hope that this time you can break this barrier. Hunchback Meng revealed a strange smile as his eyes swept over Wang Lin and the young man. At this time, Gudi outside the oval aperture was waving his hands with more and more frequency, and black silk appeared like rain. His demeanor gradually became dignified. As he closed his hands and pushed forward, countless black wires suddenly shed from the aperture, turning into a black dragon which, after letting out a roaring sound, shrank rapidly and fell onto Gudi's hand. Okay, can enter now. Gudi took a deep breath and patted his storage bag, and putting in the black dragon took out 2 jade bracelets. Amongst these 2 jade bracelets, one was large and one was small, with the slightly larger one being of red color and the color of the smaller one being gray. Holding the 2 jade bracelets, Gudi hesitated a bit, then he lifted his feet to enter the aperture and disappeared without a trace. 6 desires. Devil Lord narrowed his pupils, then jumped up and grabbing onto the youth, disappeared into the aperture. Then, Wang Qingyu licked his lips and went inside. After that, Duan Muji and Hunchback Meng looked at each other, and then the duo looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin, without hesitation, flew up and stopping just outside the aperture, stared back at Duan Muji and stretching forth his right hand, said in a heavy voice, now that we are here, Ancestor, please fulfill your promise. Duan Muji laughed and said, that matter is not urgent. After we break through the 3rd barrier, I shall give you. Launch I. Wang Lin looked on coldly and remained silent. Hunchback Meng looked a bit, then with a laugh, passed by Duan Muji, no longer paying any attention to the duo as he went into the aperture. Duan Muji stared at Wang Lin after a bit of silence, threw out 2 immortal pills from his storage bag, and said with a heavy voice, take it. Wang Lin, after taking it, looked over it carefully, and indeed they were just as described by Li Mu Wan. The slightly smaller one was Earth Transformation Dan, and the slightly larger one was Li Ying Dan. After carefully putting them away, Wang Lin without hesitation went into the aperture, and the moment he entered, Wang Lin had a feeling as if passing through a thin layer of film. The scene appearing in front of him was enough to make him suck in a mouthful, as his whole body stood rooted to the spot. This place was strikingly similar to the dead space that he had once been in. Here also there was immense black nothingness, if one had to differentiate. Then that would be the countless conical-shaped huge rocks, being lifted by a powerful magical force, floating in the air as they slowly moved forward. Wang Lin was standing on one such conical rock, which had 10 blocks about 300 feet wide. On the entire rock, he was the only person. Below the rocks, it was not completely dark and empty. Looking around, as far as the eyes could see, everyone who had entered, each one of them was standing on such a rock alone. Wang Lin observed the situation below. Duan Muji, Six Desires Devil Lord, Gudi, Hunchback Meng, all four looked as usual, without the slightest panic. As for Wang Qingyu, he had an expression of pondering, as he stood on the edge of the rock leaning forward in order to look down. As for the youth, he was sitting on the rock, looking around blankly. His eyes had an expression of shock. Wang Lin took a deep breath, then slowly spread his divine consciousness. There was no restrictions here blocking divine consciousness. But taking into account that there were many old fogies with powerful cultivation, Wang Lin did not spread it too far, and just stopped after he had enveloped himself and the rock. At this time, Six Desires Devil Lord's voice slowly came from a distance. Here there is no danger, just enter the passageway. You can do that while sitting on the pumice. Hearing that, Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and looked on as the stones slowly moved forward. He remained silent for a bit, and finding that nobody was paying attention to him, he pulled out from his bosom the storage bag that he obtained from Huofen Alliance. When his divine consciousness entered, it was like a rock thrown into the sea. The storage bag didn't give off even the slightest reaction. Wang Lin was startled. But he didn't try and analyze the reason. He slowly recovered his right hand and looked all around. Suddenly, Wang Qingyu, who was standing on the edge of the rock looking down, said with a frightened voice, "What is that?" "Make yours." In the middle of the void below, suddenly two beacons of light lit up. They were the size of a few tens of feet. Wang Lin swept away with his divine consciousness, and immediately clutched his heart. This is what beacon of light, they are clearly a pair of eyes. Then the eyes suddenly disappeared, but soon appeared again, and this time an S shape appeared bigger. At this time, Hunchback Meng came to the edge of his rock, and looked down gloomily. He waved his right hand, and a blue powder fell down from his position. As the powder fell, a slight glow emerged from it. The farther it fell, the more brightly it glowed, until it finally fell, so that everyone could suck in a mouthful at the scene unfolding in front of their eyes. It was a huge snake creature. Its size could not be estimated. Only the part seen in the glow was about several 100,000 feet, and it had a width of 1,000 feet. A strange sheen flashed from the purple-red colored scales. On its huge head, there were 9 long horns, and it had densely packed rows of teeth, from the opening and closing of which, frighteningly cold light would come out. Hunchback Meng's look immediately became very ugly. As he immediately drew back his right hand, the glow instantly disappeared without a trace, and the nothingness below was covered in darkness again. This time also there is a wild beast, equivalent to peak spirit-forming stage cultivator. Hunchback Meng said slowly after remaining silent for a bit. "Do not provoke it. The last time we came here we were able to safely pass, so I believe that as long as you don't provoke it, this time also surely can pass." Six Desires Devil Lord, looking gloomy, said lightly. His voice faded. Suddenly from the nothingness below sounds of muffled roars could be heard coming, followed by the pair of eyes getting bigger and bigger. A strange smelling wind suddenly came from below. Everyone stood up at once. Hunchback Meng immediately patted his storage bag. Suddenly a few pills appeared in his hand. He suddenly tossed them and said, "Put this antidote in your mouth." Six Desires Devil Lord immediately leapt to escape, instantly appearing by the side of the youth and grabbing onto him as well as taking the pills. He rapidly fled into the distance. Duan Muji also looked to Wang Lin, and finding Wang Lin looked calm, he hesitated a bit, then said, "Follow me." After that he immediately flew off into the distance. Wang Lin had also been thrown a pill by Hunchback Meng. He did not intake it immediately but glanced at others, after finding that everybody else had already taken it. He jumped out and took the pill into his mouth at the same time. Everyone quickly jumped off and fled from the conical rocks. Those immense stones, when looked from afar, seemed as if they had no end, without any direct access to the ground. Wang Lin was following behind Duan Muji, when from the nothingness a roar came out, which gradually became more and more intense, and the rocks all around were displaying faint signs of vibrating. At this moment, not far behind them, a rock suddenly shattered. A huge head emerged, smashing through the rocks on its way up. While the stones were being smashed, the eyes in that head revealed an icy cold light. The strange-smelling wind came in bursts. Wang Lin touched the pill in his mouth, and increasing his pace as they quickly leapt out. As for the abnormal sounds coming from behind, aside from the youth in the group, nobody else looked back, only increased their pace. In this way, the disparities between everyone's speeds could be seen. A fast person was Wang Qingyue, whose 5 elements escape technique is already well known. He himself appeared translucent. And while others flew in arcs and jumped around, he flew straight. Often the moment his body would encounter any rock, he would vanish instantly, only to appear on the other side. The serpentine wild beast stared coldly at the crowd fleeing in front. It sent forth a growl, suddenly lifting itself, revealing a body thousands of feet long, as it fiercely slammed down. Generate now. Here comes another 4,000 words in a major chapter. Leo doesn't make empty promises. Could it now be time to wish for the like button for the video? You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. There was a giant spirit stone platform between these two groups of cultivators. The spirit stone platform gave off a powerful aura. It was nearly 10,000 feet wide and looked like a small mountain. Spirit stones of this size were extremely rare. Wang Lin had cultivated for a long time and had rarely seen spirit stones this large. Although spirit stones were useless to him now, after seeing it, his expression became even more strange. There was a red dragon coiled on the spirit stone. This dragon was not large. It lazily lied there as the thousands of cultivators carried it. Sometimes it would break off a piece of the spirit stone and throw it into its mouth. It would munch on it before devouring it, revealing a very comfortable expression. Celestial dragon is mighty. Celestial dragon reveals Tao. The roars from the cultivators made the dragon even more comfortable. If I hadn't been trapped in that damn place for so many years, this old dragon could have had a better life in the cave world than outside. That damn vermilion bird, that damn celestial sovereign, and that damn sovereign. Fortunately, I escaped. Now this is my ideal life. How nice and wonderful this life is. I can't help but think of my hometown and sing loudly about it. The red dragon looked very proud. Its claw broke off another piece of spirit stone and threw it into its mouth. 2 little dragon girls under the flying snow mountain, do you know of my thoughts for you? Your long whiskers, your wonderful bodies, and your alluring eyes. The red dragon seemed to be a bit too happy and began to hum. At the same time, its dragon tail seemed to hit the spirit stone in a rhythm. The thousands of surrounding cultivators could only helplessly look at the dragon. To them, its voice was too mournful and contained no taste at all. Whenever this happened, they could only roar loudly to offset its terrifying voice. Celestial dragon reveals Tao. Celestial dragon is mighty. This red dragon was the fire dragon that was almost bled dry by the 2nd generation vermilion bird in the fallen land. The 2nd generation had given the dragon to Wang Lin, but it escaped. Along with the fact that the ancient tomb was opening, Wang Lin didn't bother with this dragon. Now hundreds of years had passed. Just when Wang Lin was about to completely forget about this matter, this pitiful fire dragon appeared in his divine sense. Just as those thousands of cultivators came with the dragon, all the divine senses of the 3rd step cultivators that had gathered on Wang Lin moved over following Wang Lin's gaze. The fire dragon was still munching on the spirit stones and was still singing proudly. However, at this moment, the dragon trembled. The munching and the singing suddenly stopped. It blinked its eyes and was filled with confusion. However, this was soon replaced with fear, and its body trembled. This damn their dragon grandmas. Why are there so many divine senses here? Why are they all so bored that their divine senses are gathered here? After being startled for a moment, this silly dragon let out a sobbing roar. Back up, quickly go back. As it roared, the silly dragon trembled. It had already been very careful in developing its own force. It hadn't provoked people it didn't think he could handle, in fear of being caught again. Even though it looked daring, the routes it had taken were carefully selected by him. It had taken this route more than times, and had never encountered any danger. It also had some strange spell to hide its aura, so unless you were deliberately looking for it, this dragon was difficult to find it. Normally, when it met a cultivator that was weaker than himself, This dragon would display its might and scare that person to obediently become a member of its celestial dragon sect. However, today it could have never expected that it would rush into a large amount of divine senses halfway through its trip. These divine senses made him tremble. There were many that were strong enough to make him swallow large amounts of dragon saliva. Its dragon heart pounded rapidly. The red dragon flew off the spirit stone and was about to escape. However, it looked at the panic and confusion of its disciples and struggled a bit before suppressing its fear. It carefully landed back on the spirit stone platform and let out a few dry coughs. This celestial dragon remembers that there was a pot of pills being refined. "We are not going out to play anymore. Carry me back to refine those pills." After hearing this, although the surrounding cultivators were still uncertain, they listened the dragoness order. They carried the giant spirit stone platform and slowly retreated. However, the spirit stone was too large, so its speed was very slow. The red dragon was extremely anxious, and it felt a sense of greed in those divine senses. It was sad to find that as the spirit stone moved back, those divine senses followed and locked onto it. "Damn it, all of you, hurry up. If you re-all too slow, this dragon will devour you all." After that, it still seemed a bit worried and quickly added something. "That pot of pills of mine is very precious." The dragon was in a tense mood, and its heart was pounding. It didn't dare to act too suddenly, because if it suddenly flew away, it would only attract more attention. It could not be impatient. It had to remain calm. "Celestial dragon, a celestial dragon. You have to calm down, it's not a big deal. You just didn't see them." The silly dragon encouraged itself and acted like nothing had happened. However, it was really bad at pretending, and as it tried to pretend, it just revealed everything on its face. After they gradually retreated more than 100,000 feet away, those divine senses all left, much to the joy of the silly dragon. It seemed that to them the appearance of the dragon was only an accident. They had no interest toward the dragon, so they all withdrew their divine senses. This was a great surprise for the dragon. It let out a big breath and made up its mind. After returning home, it wouldn't leave for 10 years, and it would never take this route again. This route was simply too terrifying. The surrounding cultivators were still in shock and didn't know what had happened. It was unknown who had started, but in order to please the fire dragon, they all suddenly began to roar loudly. The celestial dragon reveals the Tao, believe my words and avoid world destruction disaster. The celestial dragon reveals Tao, believe in this apostle. It will take us to the endless celestial realm and become immortal. Celestial dragon is mighty. The moment the chanting started, a powerful divine sense came from behind them. This divine sense contained a powerful pressure and almost scared the fire dragon senseless. "Mighty what might. You all shut up." The dragon roared almost in tears. It thought it had avoided a calamity, but it didn't expect these people's roars to attract a divine sense that made it tremble. It had invented those phrases himself, and it always felt comfortable listening to them. However, now those words were sending it to its grave, and this made the fire dragon let out a miserable roar. After letting out a roar, the fire dragon quickly turned around. It bowed with both hands clasped, with an expression making it seem as if it was about to cry. Hey, I've disturbed you. I'll leave, these little ones don't know what they are talking about." This little dragon isn't mighty at all, and is certainly not a celestial. "I am a snake, that's right. Just a snake, I just look a bit like a dragon." Hey, the fire dragon shivered, and even its words became all jumbled up. Hey, I want to disturb you fellow seniors gathering here. You are all busy, so no need to pay any attention to me. I'll leave on my own, don't bother sending me off." The fire dragon trembled and even abandoned the spirit stone platform as it anxiously escaped. However, as the fire dragon rapidly retreated, it suddenly stopped. This time it was really about to cry as a white figure with white hair appeared before it. Wang Lin stepped out and looked at the fire dragon with a smile that wasn't a smile. "It's you!" The fire dragon saw Wang Lin and was startled. There was a reason the second-generation vermilion bird had called it a silly dragon. When the dragon saw Wang Lin, it remembered how weak Wang Lin was and completely forgot about the divine sense that made it tremble. "Damn it, you also dare to stop this dragon? You drank my blood before. Today, this dragon wants you to pay." The dragon glared at Wang Lin and opened its mouth. A giant ball of fire shot out and devoured everything before it, including Wang Lin. However, in the next breath, the giant ball of fire suddenly scattered in all directions. Countless fire seeds scattered and lit up the star system. When the fireball stopped, the dragon let out a scream of fear. Its body was suddenly thrown backward, and its eyes became filled with fear. Wang Lin walked out from the fire, and all the collapsing fire stopped. It gathered toward Wang Lin and formed a burning flame in his left hand. Fire Dragon Wang Lin still had a smile that wasn't TA smile as he looked at the fire dragon. I am really just a snake. The fire dragon trembled and was no longer being silly. It thought about the terrifying aura Wang Lin gave off. At 36, Leo is still getting wisdom teeth, in pain for many days, with swollen jaws, frustrated, and they're not even breaking through yet. Counting them, there are 3 or 4 wisdom teeth not yet emerged. While retreating, the fire dragon let out a howl and used its full power. Fire covered its body, and it rapidly retreated. The way Wang Lin had casually gathered the scattered fire was frightening, and it also clearly felt the fire essence in Wang Lin's body. It also had a fire essence, but it was obviously a lot weaker compared to Wang Lin's fire essence. As a result, this fire dragon simply didn't have the courage to fight Wang Lin. Feeling terrified, the fire dragon rapidly retreated. Wang Lin calmly looked at the retreating fire dragon. He squeezed his right hand and crushed the fire in his right hand. A heat wave spread out from Wang Lin's palm in all directions. Wang Lin didn't chase but casually formed a seal. This seal was given to him by the second-generation vermilion bird to control this fire dragon. After this seal appeared, the fire dragon that had retreated far let out a miserable scream. An identical seal appeared between its eyebrows. This seal was deeply imprinted on its head, engraved in the bones of its soul. None of you vermilion birds are good people. It's so painful you said you'd let me go, but still left this seal on me. The fire around the fire dragon collapsed, revealing its body. In a flash, its body expanded to more than 100,000 feet. Its large dragon body gave off a powerful pressure. However, at this moment, this pressure couldn't affect Wang Lin at all. The fire dragon's body twisted and the pain from between its eyebrows made it shed dragon tears. So painful I won't run. I surrender. You can do as you wish. I won't run anymore. Wang Lin dispelled the seal in his right hand and, in the blink of an eye, stood on top of the fire dragon's head. The dragon wanted to struggle, but it remembered the intense pain it had just suffered and shivered in fear. It was too scared to resist, and water vapor filled its eyes, and it was filled with grievance. It looked into the distance where the celestial dragon sect was, and even more water vapor gathered in its eyes. Come on, my celestial dragon sect, damn it. I shouldn't have come this way. I should have gone elsewhere. Wang Lin sat above the fire dragon's head. Waves of hot energy came from the dragon's head and surrounded him as he looked ahead. Even his vision became distorted from these heat waves. The divine senses from the third step cultivators of the ancient star system were still in the area. They had watched Wang Lin capture this fire dragon, but they weren't surprised. Although this fire dragon was strong, equal to an early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator, to them it was simply too weak. If it was the before Wang Lin knew this was a cave world, he would still captured this dragon, but he wouldn't have acted so quickly, without wasting time. This dragon was different from all the demonic beasts Wang Lin had seen before. Not only could it speak, but it was very intelligent. Not even the nether beast was a match. It even called itself a celestial dragon, and had created the celestial dragon sect. It had also enslaved cultivators to serve it. This already showed how extraordinary the dragon was. Most importantly, this dragon's body contained a faint force of the celestial bloodline. This was very weak and was very difficult to notice. However, Wang Lin had the immortal celestial body blood drop, so he was able to faintly see it. Wang Lin stood above the giant dragon head. His eyes shined as he looked at the fire dragon below him. There were only 3 hours left until the end of the 3-year period. These 3 hours were enough for Wang Lin to get some information from this dragon. The immortal astral continent is your hometown, right? Wang Lin's divine sense that surrounded the dragon suddenly sent out a message. The fire dragon was startled. It blinked with its giant dragon eyes and began to shake its big head. Wang Lin coldly stared at this dragon as he raised his right hand, and the aura of a soul search spell appeared on his palm. He looked at the fire dragon and slowly sent out a message. With your intelligence, you know the effect of the spell in my hand. I'll ask you again. Are you from the immortal astral continent? Horror appeared in the dragon's eyes, but for some reason, it looked at the thousands of celestial dragon sect cultivators in the distance. It clenched its teeth and shook its head. Wang Lin frowned. He couldn't use the soul search spell right now. This was the ancient star system, and there were divine senses of several powerful cultivators here. If he used soul search, it would give them a chance to attack. As a result, it would affect his plan in 3 hours. His eyes became even more cold. Wang Lin scattered the soul search spell and was going to send the dragon into his storage space. He was going to get some answers from it after he dealt with the ancient celestial realm first. However, just as he was about to scatter his soul search spell, the fire dragoness plead entered his mind. Can you give me some face? You can see my disciples are looking at me. If you can give me some face and cooperate with me, then I'll cooperate with you and tell you okay. Wang Lin was startled and revealed a strange expression. He looked at the fire dragon below him, and after a long time, he nodded. The moment the fire dragon saw Wang Lin agree, it was very happy. It straightened its body and flew out from under Wang Lin. Its eyes shined brightly, and it looked very majestic. Its large dragon claws pointed at Wang Lin, and its mighty voice echoed. You said you want to enter my celestial dragon sect. This dragon won't take offense to what you have done and will let you join my celestial dragon sect, or as the fire dragon spoke. It paid attention to Wang Lin's expression. When it saw Wang Lin's brow began to wrinkle, it trembled and quickly said, for a powerful person like you to join my celestial dragon sect, it is my luck. Hey, you can be the vice sect master. After it spoke, the frightened cultivators, shocked by what had happened, were all startled for a moment. Before those cultivators could react, the fire dragon suddenly turned around toward them and let out a roar. Okay, all of you go back. This celestial dragon will give some pointers to the new vice sect master and will be busy. I'll be back later, so watch the sect for me. Although those cultivators were filled with doubt, they didn't dare to display it. They all revealed expressions of awe toward the fire dragon and then respectfully left. After all the cultivators left, the majestic aura of the dragon disappeared. It had an awkward expression and was about to speak when Wang Lin stood back on its head. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and brought the dragon to where he was sitting before. Master, this little dragon indeed came from the immortal astral continent. If you have any questions, please ask. This little dragon promises to tell you everything. The fire dragon revealed a flattering expression and quickly sent out a divine sense message. How did you enter this place from the immortal astral continent? Wang Lin sat down on the dragon. I followed my former master and a damned fellow. That damned fellow knew master favored me more and refused to accept it in his heart. So he told master that the Seven Tao sect had a treasure and deceived my former master to come here. I was faithful to my master and was naturally worried about him, so I came with him. The fire dragon seemed to be filled with indignation. As it sent out the divine sense messages, it looked into the distance as if it was afraid. After hearing this, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He looked at the fire dragon for a long time until the fire dragon's hair stood up and it sent out a divine sense message. What I am saying is true, a bit of a lie. I didn't come because I was loyal to my former master, but my former master rode me here. The fire dragon spoke carefully. What is your name? Wang Lin's mind trembled. He had a faint guess. Master, you can call me Little Red. My nickname is Little Red. The dragon waved its big head and sent out a message. Little Red. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly shined brightly. He stared at the fire dragon and his mind rumbled. The madman's words echoed in his mind. Little Red, where are you? All of this king's things are with Little Red. Go find Little Red for them. Little Red, quickly go find my big brother. Tell him I am being bullied. Not only did the fire dragon feel his hair stand up under Wang Lin's gaze, its heart also pounded. It didn't know if it had offended Wang Lin and was about to send out a message in fear. Who is Lian Daofei to you? Wang Lin slowly sent out a message. After the fire dragon heard Lian Daofei, it was startled for a moment. Ah! No, my master. Lian Daofei was my former master. It is unfortunate that he is dead. Sure enough, Wang Lin's mind continued to tremble. He no longer asked questions and put the fire dragon inside his storage space. He could no longer ask any more questions. Time was almost up, so he had maintained a peace of mind so he could use his full cultivation. He needed to remain calm. If he got more information from the fire dragon, it would be very difficult for Wang Lin to stay calm. At this moment, Wang Lin sat there with his eyes closed to calm the waves set off in his heart. Time passed. As the hearts of the people observing Wang Lin with their divine sense continued to speculate, the last 3 hours slowly went by. The moment the last 3 hours passed, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. Leo has caught a cold, his nose running like a leaky faucet, making it unlikely he'll make it home tomorrow. Trying hard to ensure a new update, but lacking the energy, longing for the like button for the video. Time is up. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with coldness. He had waited 3 years for this day. The 3-year period was over. It had also been a full 100 years since the Inner and Outer Realm War had begun. The 4 generals of the Inner Realm's ancient celestial realm wouldn't disappoint Wang Lin. The deal they had made with Wang Lin was about to begin. The stars were silent as the last breath passed. The divine senses surrounding Wang Lin didn't notice the upheaval the inner and outer realms were going through. The first sign of this upheaval was in the brilliant void in the inner realm. In the vast brilliant void there were bursts of colorful lights that lit up the star system. This caused the darkness of space to look like a blooming flower field. A thunderous rumble rang out among these beautiful lights. This muffled roar echoed across the star system. If this star system was a door, then this muffled roar came from behind the door. It was as if a giant was bombarding the door like crazy. The giant seemed to want to break open the door and walk out. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the muffled roar also came from Summoned River. The muffled rumble was even heard and echoed in the cloud sea and Al heaven. This violent sound appeared during the first breath and reached its peak in the 5th breath. It spread across every inch of the inner realm, to every planet, and into the ears of every living creature. At this instant, the countless living beings in inner realm, whether it was the cultivators, mortals, beasts, or even vegetation, all trembled and entered a daze. There was an uninhabited savage planet that had no people but was filled with many fierce beasts. These beasts had lived here for generations. They hunted and killed in the rainforest here. However, when the thunderous rumble echoed, the planet became silent. All the beasts, whether it was the pouncing tiger or the giant python that had just caught a little beast, trembled. They were terrified as they looked up at the sky in a daze. The little beast that hadn't died forgot to struggle. It looked up and was stunned. Rumble, 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 rumble. The sound was heaven-shaking. During the 8th breath, it was almost crazy. It created countless ripples that echoed across the 4 star systems. At this moment, it seemed like countless creatures from the ancient celestial realm were roaring. Their roars was this rumble. On a planet in the Summoned River, inhabited by only a few dozen cultivators. They hadn't gone to the new celestial realm, but were looking for mortals that could cultivate, searching for seeds for the future of the inner realm. At this moment, their faces were all pale and they coughed out blood. They looked at the sky in fear. They didn't know what had happened, but the roar in their ears had entered their minds and made them panic. Could it be that the outer realm is invading again? Everyone was shocked. They were about to fly out, but just as they flew into the sky, a thunderous rumble echoed, and they were pressed against the ground by a pressure that descended from the sky. During the 11th breath, the rumble echoing across the 4 star systems created a pressure. This pressure came from the ancient celestial realm. This aura was ancient and shrouded the entire inner realm. It seemed to be telling the world they had returned. On a planet in Al heaven, there was no longer any cultivators left, only mortals. At this moment, the cities that were supposed to be lively became deathly silent. The elderly man that was selling wine at the edge of the city and the dozen or so people drinking were all frightened when they saw the previously cloudless sky turn dark. A thunderous rumble echoed, and all the mortals blacked out. The mortals that passed out couldn't see the change in the sky. The sky continued to darken until all light was gone and it turned to night. At this moment, it was the 16th breath since the rumble echoed. During these 16 breaths of time, the 4 star systems lost all light. All planets and continents were shrouded in darkness. During the 17th breath, a thunderous rumble that suppressed all the sound from the previous 16 breaths echoed in the brilliant void. This thunderous rumble sounded like a door breaking, like the sky collapsing. As the rumble echoed, a crack appeared in the brilliant void, and it soon formed a giant rift. The moment the rift appeared, roars filled with excitement and madness appeared. The aura of the ancient celestial realm rushed out from this rift and swept across the brilliant void. At the same time, as the roar echoed, hideous gazes appeared inside the rift, and dried-up hands wanted to reach out. It was as if there was a group of people behind the rift that were about to go crazy and tear the star system open. At this moment, a similar rift appeared in the summoned river, Al-Heaven, and the Cloud Sea. The four rifts tore open the star system and released the aura of the ancient celestial realm. The ancient celestial realm was about to awaken. In the thunder celestial realm in Al-Heaven, old Ghost John suddenly stood up and his expression changed. He stepped forward, leaving the thunder celestial realm, and appeared in Al-Heaven. His eyes revealed a strange gaze as he looked at rift that, and his eyes became cold. Ancient celestial realm. The rifts in the four-star system trembled and spread out like crazy. On the 19th breath, the entire inner realm seemed to be split. The four rifts spread until they met at the intersection of the four-star systems, which was directly above the new celestial realm. A thunderous rumble echoed when the four rifts overlapped, and a giant cross appeared in the sky. The aura of the ancient celestial realm leaked out, and excited roars came from within. All the light in the inner realm collapsed. At this moment, the inner realm had no light. The endless light was all sucked away and was changed in a bizarre way. It all gathered outside the four rifts and gave off a dazzling glow. Thunderous rumbles echoed, causing the silver river around the new celestial realm to tremble. Even the new celestial realm buzzed. Many inner realm cultivators looked up at the sky. Wang Lin's face turned pale and he charged into the sky. This is the aura of the ancient celestial realm. The ancient celestial realm has returned. Master Hongshan, Master South Cloud, and Qing Shui, come with me to greet the ancient celestials. Wang Lin flew into the sky and 3 rays of light followed him. They were Master Hongshan, Master South Cloud, and Qing Shui. The 4 of them flew toward the sky. Below them were the inner realm cultivators and a giant statue standing on the highest peak. This statue had been moved here from planet Suzaku by someone during these past 3 days, so that it could be worshipped by all future generations. When Wang Lin and company rushed out from the Silver River, they looked at the giant cross-like rift. Even Qing Shui revealed a look of respect. There was no need to mention Wang Lin and others. They didn't dare to show any sign of disrespect. The ancient celestials were like gods to these old fellows. Only Situ Nan stared at the sky among the cultivators below. In his mind, Wang Lin's words still echoed. He hadn't told anyone else about this. Looking at the rift, there was not the slightest bit of awe, only a complicated sense of confusion. The ancient celestial realm, it had been gone for a long time, and now it was descending upon the world once more. Shocking roars came out from the cross-shaped rift. In the end, the rift was completely ripped open, and all the surrounding light gathered to form a block of light. In the blink of an eye, another block of light appeared. Soon, hundreds of blocks of light appeared. These blocks of light soon formed a giant staircase that floated there. After the stairs appeared, figures covered in golden light excitedly walked out. Soon, dozens of figures rushed out. Finally free! Now that our cultivation has recovered, U.S. Celestials have returned. Roars came from these dozens of golden figures. They each had the aura of a third-step cultivator. However, these auras were different from that of the cultivators of the cave world. However, it was very difficult to describe what the exact difference was. After these dozens of people, there were still more golden figures flying out. Looking from afar, this made for a shocking scene. Wang Lin and company were the closest. As the golden light filled the sky, they all had solemn expressions. Master Hongshan and Master South Cloud clasped their hands. However, compared to them, Wang Lin was the most excited me. He stepped forward and clasped his hands at the golden figures. He spoke with respectful tone. The Lord of the Sealed Realm's disciple Wang Lin greets the ancient celestials. However, his existence and words didn't catch the attention of any of those ancient celestials. The celestials laughed wildly and directly flew past them. They shot toward the new celestial realm. This celestial hasn't devoured Joss flames in a long time. Although the Joss flames here aren't strong, they will satisfy me for now. Joss flames, this place has the aura of Joss flames. Ha! I didn't expect there to be Joss flame prepared for us when we awakened. Disciple of the Lord of the Sealed Realm, you were very good. These celestials rushed toward the new celestial realm. When King Lin and company saw this, their minds trembled. Leo has a cold, with a sore throat and a bit of dizziness, not daring to promise that there will be a third watch today, doing his utmost to get through. Qing Shui's eye glowed red and killing intense filled his body. His daughter was on the new celestial realm, and this new celestial realm had been built by them. This was their home. At this moment, someone had broken the door and was going to destroy his home. It didn't matter who that was. Even if they were ancient celestials, he, Qing Shui, was still going to kill. Qing Shui charged forward. Master Hongshan and Master South Cloud were frozen for a moment before their expressions changed greatly. After hesitating for a moment, they clenched their teeth and rushed forward. Qing Lin was stunned, and his struggle was the most intense. However, he saw the dozens of celestial laughing wildly as they ripped open the Silver River. The gap revealed tens of thousands of inner realm cultivators who were filled with fear. Qing Lin let out a roar and stepped forward. Stop! Fellow ancient celestials, this is my inner realm celestial realm. Qing Lin rushed forward as he roared, but before he could finish speaking, about 7 or 8 people turned around. Their eyes revealed domineering golden light, and they waved their hands at the 4 of them. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and a golden storm filled with the power of the celestial bloodline rushed at the 4 of them. As the storm rumbled, Qing Lin, Master Hongshan, and Master South Cloud trembled. What guts? You dare to stop us celestials from absorbing Joss flames? One of them sneered. His words contained endless arrogance and a sense of superiority. This golden storm contained the celestial bloodline and produced a suppression that was the natural enemy to people of the inner realm. This caused Qing Lin, Master Hongshan, and Master South Cloud to retreat in shock. However, this bloodline force had no effect on Qing Shui. It was as if he didn't notice it at all. He charged through the golden storm toward the dozens of celestials filled with shocking killing intent. However, he was still a bit slow. The dozen of celestials that had come out first had already arrived above the new celestial realm. They looked at the tens of thousands of cultivators looking at them in fear and laughed. A few people immediately released their bloodline suppression so that the cultivators below wouldn't dare to move. Then a few of them descended. One of them grabbed a female cultivator from the summoned river and was about to inhale. Once he inhaled, he would be able to turn this female cultivator into Joss flames and absorb them. However, just at this moment, an ancient celestial spread out his divine sense while laughing wildly. Just as his divine sense spread out, his laughter stopped and his eyes widened. An unimaginable amount of panic appeared on his face, and he let out a scream. His scream was mournful. The moment he screamed, everyone else was startled. The celestial that had grabbed the female cultivator subconsciously loosened his grip on her and looked up at the person that had screamed. His statue! There is a statue of him there! The mournful scream echoed. The dozens of celestial that had arrived and the dozens that came after all froze for a moment. Their divine senses spread out, and after looking at the distant peak, they all gasped. The celestial that had grabbed the female cultivator loosened his grasp, and his face turned pale. It's him! Awaits. Why is his statue here? This sudden discovery caused fear to appear on the faces of dozens of celestials. They could not forget the power of that arrow in the ancient celestial realm 3 years ago. It wasn't until this moment that Situnan awakened. He raised his head and raised his hand without hesitation and took out a jade. This jade was given to him by Wang Lin when they met on planet Suzaku, and Wang Lin told him about the ancient celestial realm. Wang Lin had told him that once the celestials appeared, if they tried to kill the cultivators, crush this jade. Situnan took out the jade and crushed it. Once it was crushed, Wang Lin's aura erupted from this jade. Those dozens of celestials were very familiar with this aura. The moment this aura appeared, they suddenly looked up at the sky. The sky distorted and a white figure appeared. This figure was Wang Lin. That jade contained a sliver of his divine sense. Although it was only an illusion, his cold gaze spread out. Vermilion bird, black tortoise, azure dragon, white tiger, is this your so-called agreement? Wang Lin's eyes stared coldly at the dozens of celestials and then waved his sleeves. Get the hell out of here, he roared. With that roar, a shocking killing intent spread and triggered the memories of those dozens of celestials. They let out screams and their faces turned pale while they quickly retreated. In the blink of an eye, they left the new celestial realm. Outside the new celestial realm, among the dozens of celestials that had come out, there was an old man. He was the Azure Dragon. He had a gloomy expression as he stared at the people that had broken into the new celestial realm. He let out a cold snort before taking a step forward and clasping his hands. This old man was not strict enough and came a step too late. I hope fellow cultivator will forgive us. This old man will give you an explanation. Fortunately, there were no casualties, so, fellow cultivator, please don't be anger, our deal is still on. We from the ancient celestial realm want to kill a single inner realm cultivator. In the outer realm, Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed a cold gaze. He had long expected this, which was why he had left the jade there. He saw those celestials leave in defeat and was about to speak when he suddenly looked into the distance. There was no hesitation. Wang Lin stood up and charged off into the distance. The ancient celestial realm was the original one and was then split in half. Although it had been split between the inner and outer realms, they were still linked. Now that the inner realm's ancient celestial realm had opened, the outer realm's ancient celestial realm would open as well. Although there was a formation blocking the upheaval inside the inner realm, some of the third-step cultivators in the outer realm still felt it. In particular, the sovereign's eyes were flooded with disbelief when he suddenly understood what Wang Lin was going to do. Not good. He is going to use the power of the arrow to destroy the outer realm's ancient celestial realm. He is this crazy. He must have learned about everything, that this place is only a cave world. The sovereign's expression changed, and then he charged into the stars. At this moment, not only his, but the expressions of all the third-step cultivators who were observing Wang Lin changed. They all understood what Wang Lin was going to do at the same time. Wang Lin moved at full speed. From his position, he only needed an instant to arrive anywhere in the ancient star system. He disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was in a star domain where there were large amounts of spatial rifts. This star domain right now had countless rifts, and thunderous rumbles came from within them. The moment Wang Lin arrived, the star domain seemed to collapse and a giant gap appeared. The aura of the ancient celestial realm came from within, and mad laughter followed. Golden figures walked out from the gap. These figures were also ancient celestials. They were all disciples of the Seven Tao sect, but they were no longer loyal to the seven-colored celestial sovereign, but to the concubines. To be more precise, they were loyal to the Tao partner. The seven-colored celestial sovereign had abandoned to save his own life. Without the order from the seven-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner, they wouldn't be following the commands the seven concubines. It could be said that this was the root cause of the Great War in the cave. They were the final ace the celestial imperial concubines held. When everyone realized what Wang Lin was going to do, the seventh concubine's expression changed greatly and she rushed toward Wang Lin. Even the third concubine was shaken and quickly rushed over. Mad laughter echoed inside the gap as the golden figures flew out. However, everyone that came out immediately saw the white-haired cultivator in white that seemed to be waiting for them with his eyes closed. They didn't recognize Wang Lin. Although Wang Lin had a cultivation level, they didn't consider him a threat. They laughed wildly and excitement filled their eyes. We were finally able to come out. Since we are here, then the four generals must have come out as well. Kill them, and obtain the Tao Tome, and we can form a new Seven Tao sect. Not only must we kill them, but we must end all the lives in this cave world. Only then can we reopen this cave. The golden celestials flew out as they roared. One of the celestials revealed a cruel expression as he charged at Wang Lin. He was extremely fast, and when he got near Wang Lin, he raised his right hand with a grin. You ant cultivator, you have bad luck by being at our door. This celestial will absorb you and turn you into Joss flames. Ordinary cultivator of the immortal astral continent, common disciple of the Seven Tao sect, you dare to call yourself a celestial? Wang Lin opened his eyes and golden light shined from them. This golden light was formed by condensing the power of the immortal celestial body blood drop. This light contained extremely pure celestial bloodline. When he saw the golden light in Wang Lin's eyes, the celestial that had charged forward stopped and his expression changed greatly. He subconsciously retreated in shock and a rumble echoed in his mind. Who are you? Leo goes to the hospital with his wife, then directly to pick up his daughter from school, continuing the storytelling upon return. His answer didn't come in the form of words but Wang Lin's actions. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with a golden glow, and he raised his left hand. The Li Guangbo appeared with a rumble and he grabbed it. His right hand grabbed the bowstring and suddenly pulled back. With a buzz, the Li Guangbo reached full moon. The arrow that had terrified many people appeared on the bow, and the space around it twisted. After the arrow appeared, the world changed colors and trembled. The Celestial recovered from his shock and looked at the bow. He felt like it was familiar. This bow is very familiar, this bow Li Guangbo. The moment the Celestial recognized this bow, his expression changed greatly. Fear and disbelief filled his eyes as he let out a scream in fear and retreated like crazy. He knew about this bow and about the power of an arrow from it. It was a powerful treasure that could even shake the hearts of the people from his home on the immortal astral continent. It had terrifying destructive capabilities. At this moment, he suddenly understood that this person had been sitting here precisely to wait for them to appear. This person had been waiting for the ancient celestial realm to open and use this bow to kill them. Who is he? The Celestial retreated as if he was crazy. The only thought in his mind was escape, escape, escape. The huge change here caught the attention of all the other Celestials. However, when they saw the bow in Wang Lin's hands, felt the trembling of the stars, and were shaken by the ripples from the bow, their expressions all changed. Li Guangbo. It's actually the Li Guangbo. Alarmed, the Celestials that charged out retreated like crazy. They wanted to return to the ancient celestial realm. Encountering someone who had the Li Guangbo and could draw it as soon as they walked out was a nightmare. However, even though they moved fast, they weren't fast enough to escape from the Li Guangbo. The sovereign wasn't able to, and they also weren't qualified. Wang Lin's right hand pulled the string even more as he let out a roar. At this moment, it was as if Wang Lin was about to break the bow. He stared at the terrifying and retreating Celestials with monstrous killing intent in his eyes. The people he wanted to kill were these disciples of the Seven Tao sect. These arrogant Seven Tao sect disciples who saw the people of the cave world as ants. You are no different from the people of the scattered Thunder Clan. Wang Lin's right hand loosened, and a buzz echoed across the entire star system. The bowstring suddenly retracted and sent a powerful force into the arrow. This howling sound was loud enough to shatter the heavens. The power of the Li Guangbo caused the heavens and earth to tremble. The world before the arrow collapsed and fragmented as the arrow shot forward. The Celestial that was going to kill Wang Lin had nowhere to dodge. He screamed as his body collapsed as the arrow penetrated him. His origin soul was extinguished. He was not the first cultivator from the immortal astral continent that Wang Lin had killed, and he wouldn't be the last. As the arrow shot forward, it expanded until it was tens of thousands of feet long, and it was still expanding. The dozens of Celestials that had come out were deathly pale. Compared to the speed of the arrow, they were like babies trying to run away. With a bang, the three Celestials collapsed and then died with miserable screams. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo as three Celestials' bodies trembled and collapsed. Just as their origin souls were about to escape, they disintegrated. They were destroyed by the cave world they felt contempt for. The arrow gave off a golden light. This golden light lit up the entire star system and continued to spread out. The rumbling sounds continued, and in the blink of an eye, another 8 Celestials died. They were still feeling ecstasy while walking out of the ancient celestial realm, but now that ecstasy turned into the reason for their deaths. The arrow instantly killed all the Celestials that had walked out. Then it went inside. This caused a thunderous rumble to echo inside the gap and triggered a violent collapse. The impact of the collapse spread out in all directions as a shockwave. This shockwave was powerful enough to change the trajectory of cultivation planets, but wasn't enough to move Wang Lin's ancient god body. Wang Lin's hair fluttered quickly, and the shockwaves caused his clothes to flap loudly. However, his eyes were firm, just like his body. He was going to kill, and this arrow wasn't going to kill enough. Wang Lin didn't know how many people were inside the ancient celestial realm or how many of them were powerful. But he understood that just the Li Guangbo might not be enough to destroy them all. However, he could destroy the opening to the ancient celestial realm so that they would never be able to come out again. After the first arrow was shot, the sovereign's body suddenly stopped millions of kilometers away. He stared ahead and his eyes were filled with joy. This is good for me too. I calculated that he only had the power for 2 shots. Now he has wasted one, and if he uses another, He will for sure die. Wang Lin, Wang Lin, if you really fire the bow twice and I don't kill you today, I will no longer call myself sovereign. I'll take on your family name instead. The sovereign laughed as he rushed forward. Just as he took a few steps, he laughed like crazy again. He was releasing the resentment he had felt for the last 3 years. The second shot. He indeed released the second shot. Wang Lin, you are dead. I'll first seal the ancient star system so you can leave. Then I'll slowly kill you. Without hesitation, the sovereign waved his hand and his powerful cultivation spread out. This seal wouldn't prevent people from coming in, but it would prevent them from leaving. After doing all of this, the sovereign disappeared as he rushed forward. At the same time, the seventh concubine was deathly pale. She staggered back and her eyes were filled with monstrous resentment. As she stared straight ahead, it was as if she was going to break her teeth from clenching them so hard. Wang Lin, I am going to kill you. Tao Master Miao Yin and Devil Master Nine Heaven were rushing through the star system. Their hatred for Wang Lin was no weaker than the sovereign and the seventh concubiness. Although they were injured, that didn't still their killing intent. At this moment, they were rushing toward Wang Lin, who they had locked onto. With all these people wanting to kill you, I don't believe you can come out alive. Tao Master Miao Yin smiled. This old man is going to extract a sliver of your soul and use it to light the heaven lantern for 10,000 years. Only by listening to his suffering for 10,000 years can my hatred be extinguished. Hatred filled Devil Master Nine Heaven's eyes. Wang Lin indeed drew the bow a second time. This was the first time he had drawn it twice. This time, his forehead was covered in sweat. The drop of golden celestial blood between his eyebrows rapidly dimmed as he drew the bow completely open to a full moon. The arrow that was shot into the ancient celestial realm had reappeared on the bow. This arrow was stained with blood and gave off the strong bloody smell. Before him, the hole to the ancient celestial realm has mostly collapsed after the first arrow. The ancient celestial realm that was revealed was also a mess. There were countless fragments floating inside the rift. That arrow just now had shocking power. At the moment the bow was drawn, 2 auras came from inside the rift. Both auras were as powerful as the sovereign S and quickly spread from the rift. Wang Lin's eyes revealed killing intent, and he loosened his right hand. The bowstring buzzed and a second arrow shot out. The moment the second arrow shot out, the golden light in Wang Lin's eyes faded, and the golden light in his left eye dissipated completely. As for his right eye, there was still some left, but that soon disappeared. It was unknown whether Wang Lin had hidden it, or if it had also disappeared like his left eye. As the arrow got close to the ancient celestial realm, a powerful suction force came from the tip of the arrow. As it rushed into the ancient celestial realm, it pulled the gap. When the arrow completely entered, the gap to the ancient celestial realm collapsed. This collapse destroyed the gap, preventing the celestials of the outer realm's ancient celestial realm from coming out. This also destroyed the passage and blocked all chance of them coming out. Only the muffled rumbles continued to come from where the opening had collapsed. The 2 powerful auras were blocked and unable to come out anymore. The muffled rumbles seemed to become more and more distant. Wang Lin couldn't see the power of those 2 shots from the Liguang bow, but for the people inside the ancient celestial realm, it was their nightmare. The outer realm's ancient celestial realm and the inner realm's ancient celestial realm were connected in a mysterious way. The 4 generals all had solemn expressions with a hint of terror as they looked at the churning sky before them. The sky was like a mirror, revealing a blurry yet shocking scene of what was happening inside the outer realm's ancient celestial realm. This child, it is best we don't mess with him after a long time. The Azure Dragon General took a deep breath and dread filled his eyes. The Black Tortoise General silently pondered for a moment before he said, he definitely doesn't only have 2 shots left. He is not a fool and his mind is as cunning as a devil's. How could he let others see his bottom line so easily? I guess he has at least 3 more shots. The 4 of them looked at each other and all nodded. After Wang Lin shot twice, a laugh echoed across the ancient star system. The sovereign appeared, filled with killing intent as he walked toward Wang Lin. Leo steps out without his laptop charger. The computer has no power, so he reads the chapters using his phone, typing manually. Tears are flowing. The sovereign appeared at a very precise moment. He appeared just as Wang Lin released the arrow for the second time. The sovereign already felt like he had to kill Wang Lin. Considering cultivation levels, he had already entered the arcane tribulent stage, so aside from a few limited people, no one was his opponent. If it was identity, even though he was merely a slave, even the powerful people had to give him some face. In this cave world, he was the leader of the 5 masters of the ancient celestial realm. He had enjoyed countless years of high status and was viewed as a god by countless cultivators. He was used to being above others. He also had the Sovereign Council. With just one word, he could set off a catastrophe in the outer realm. Even some of the concubines wouldn't dare to stand before him. That was the Sovereign. Even in the inner realm, his name was famous. Almost everyone who knew his name would be filled with fear. Everything that had happened revealed just how cunning and elusive he was. From when he gathered powerful cultivators to kill the Lord of the Sealed Realm, to the arrival of the Tattoo Clan to mess with Wang Lin, and then the destruction of the 4 celestial realms. Finally, he left a lot of seeds in the inner realm. Xianxia, the head disciple of the Cloud Cease Heaven Breaking sect, and Taoist Water. All those people had been manipulated by the Sovereign. He had set off multiple wars between the inner and outer realms. The amount of cultivators that had died by his hand was enough to cover a star system. Before meeting Wang Lin, he had only been in a sorry state 3 times in his life. The first was when the 7-colored Taoist had tried to force him to become his disciple. However, to be forced by the 7-colored Taoist meant he had great talent. The second time was when old Ghost Zhan broke into the outer realm to steal Joss Flames. The 2 of them battled, and the Sovereign lost. That battle made him deeply remember the name Old Ghost Zhan. As for the third time, it was when the Sovereign went into the inner realm to look for the Li Guang arrow. He was seriously injured by a roar and was forced to retreat. Aside from these 3 times, he had done as he wished and had never miscalculated. That was until he met Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin was his nemesis, and this almost made him go crazy. The first time he schemed against Wang Lin was when Wang Lin first entered the ancient star system. He wanted to fish out Wang Lin's soul, but not only was he stopped by Tao Master Blue Dream, he had lost Wang Lin's aura due to the ancient tomb. This matter was considered an accident, and the Sovereign didn't take it to heart. However, soon, a second encounter took place. At the entrance of the ancient tomb, he watched Wang Lin seal a large portion of the outer realm's power. Just as he tried to free the third-step cultivators inside, Wang Lin released a roar that borrowed the power from the lowest layer of the tomb. This roar felt like a sharp sword colliding with the Sovereign. This made him cough out blood and quickly retreat. This matter was barely passable as an accident. Although the Sovereign felt depressed, he at least understood the reason. However, it didn't end there. There was still the third encounter between him and Wang Lin. He had made his disciple bring the Li Guang bow to the inner realm to lure out old Ghost Zhan. The 2 of them battled, but the bow fell into Wang Lin's hands. However, what made him gloomy was that Wang Lin actually managed to get his hands on the arrow afterwards. However, even at that moment, the Sovereign didn't care about Wang Lin. He had still thought that those few incidents were mere accidents. Even if Wang Lin had the bow and arrow, he couldn't use it because of his bloodline. As long as the Sovereign wanted to kill Wang Lin, it would be as easy as flipping his palm. Then came the 4th encounter, where he and many other third-step cultivators from the outer realm used fishing the moon in the well to bring Wang Lin into a fake world to kill him. This time, he had calculated everything without any flaws and forced Wang Lin to use everything. Even though Wang Lin eventually released one of the souls Yimo had sealed, it couldn't change his eventual death. The Sovereign was certain that he had thought of everything and that nothing unexpected could happen again. However, not even in his dreams could the Sovereign have expected the accident that did occur. The appearance of the madman caused a monstrous wave to set off in his heart and caused his life and death calamity to completely collapse. Not only did he not kill Wang Lin, he became the reason why Wang Lin's cultivation level had increased rapidly. This matter made the Sovereign extremely gloomy. However, he still didn't recognize Wang Lin and still believed Wang Lin was lucky. It wasn't until the 5th time, when Wang Lin killed him with the arrow, that the Sovereign became sober after surviving with the 3-life spell. Once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times were all accidents. But how could the 5th time still be an accident? This Wang Lin was clearly his nemesis. Wang Lin was like a thorn in the Sovereign's heart. Every time he thought of him, he would feel suffocated, and this was almost enough for him to go crazy. It can go wrong this time. The sovereign appeared 100,000 feet from Wang Lin. He stared at Wang Lin as he waved his sleeves and shot toward him. His arcane, turbulent cultivation spread out, and space itself trembled as an invisible ripple spread out. Wang Lin remained calm, but he was forced back. The sovereign was not someone Wang Lin could deal with. As the sovereign's cultivation erupted, Wang Lin was like a lone leaf withstanding the wrath of the sea. He continued to retreat. This old man has calculated that he only had the power for 2 shots. There will not be another accident. He has already shot twice, and I can detect any celestial bloodline in his body right now. He can draw the Li Guang bow anymore. The sovereign's eyes were filled with powerful killing intent. His intent to kill Wang Lin was monstrous, and he was not willing to stop until he killed Wang Lin. It was understandable that the sovereign was like this, since Wang Lin seemed almost immortal. The sovereign was almost desperate, and he even almost subconsciously believed it was impossible to kill Wang Lin. Every time Wang Lin was faced with danger, some accident would happen at the last minute to reverse the situation. These accidents made it seem as if there was an invisible force changing everything. Although all of this seems kind of crazy, the sovereign almost believed this. This time, I refuse to believe an accident could occur. Damn it, even if he summons Master, I still have to kill Wang Lin. He definitely doesn't have the power to draw the bow a 3rd time. I can be wrong. The reason the sovereign was so certain was because of his connection with the celestial bloodline. He was, after all, the madman's slave, and he had forced the celestial bloodline out from Wang Lin's body. He knew exactly how much force was inside and how many times it could be used to draw the bow. It would be very difficult for anyone other than him to calculate it accurately. Sovereign's eyes were bloodshot behind the killing intent. As he stepped forward, the world rumbled, the stars trembled, and endless ripples spread in all directions. I can be wrong. He will certainly die. If I can kill him, this old man will change my name to his family name. The sovereign's will to kill Wang Lin had reached a limit, to the point of him almost going crazy. At this moment, he arrived behind Wang Lin and his palm slammed down on him. Die for this old man? He didn't even talk to Wang Lin at all. The moment he attacked, he used his most powerful spell. In fact, despite how certain he was that he hadn't made a mistake, he was still vaguely worried. He was afraid that if he talked with Wang Lin, some accident might really happen. In addition, this palm of his was only a way of scouting Wang Lin. After all, the sovereign had experienced Wang Lin's accident several times. A giant palm print appeared between the sovereign and the retreating Wang Lin. The moment it appeared, it began to grow, but it didn't grow too big, only about 1,000 feet large. However, it was extremely solid, as if it was real. After it appeared, it rumbled toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face was pale, but his eyes were not alarmed at all. The appearance of the sovereign was not outside Wang Lin's expectations. In fact, if the sovereign hadn't appeared, Wang Lin would had to think about things more carefully. As the palm print closed in, Wang Lin raised his right hand. The ancient god stars between his eyebrows, along with stars in his left and right eyes, all shined. Ancient power gathered from his body and condensed on his right index finger. With the immortal celestial body as inspiration, this was Wang Lin's self-created spell, Ancient Immortal Finger. The moment he pointed forward, a burst of green light erupted from Wang Lin's body. It was the Azure Shield. After that, a huge light shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. I was the light and shadow shield. Behind the light and shadow shield, bursts of colorful light echoed, and a colorful butterfly landed on Wang Lin's shoulder, flapping its wings. Colorful powder fell from it, and it was extremely beautiful. Still not time yet. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. All of this happened in an instant. The 1,000-foot palm print closed in and collided with Wang Lin's right index finger. Rumble, 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 rumble. Just as they touched, Wang Lin felt like this body was going to collapse. He coughed out blood and retreated. Wang Lin's right index finger was immediately disintegrated by the palm print, but it instantly reformed. In just a few breaths, Wang Lin's index finger was destroyed and reformed more than 1,000 times. The difference in cultivation levels was like a giant gully. It was far beyond something Wang Lin could cross. After a few breaths, although his right finger could still keep up, his body couldn't. Wounds appeared all over his body, and intense pain washed over him. The light and shadow shield became twisted as it flashed and then collapsed. The azure shield shined brightly as cracking sounds echoed, and it was knocked back into Wang Lin's body. The five-colored butterfly trembled and dissipated into five-colored light. Leo's speech is often puzzling, what with all the wishing for likes on the video and sharing Leo's work, leading the audience to erupt in laughter, the comment section filled with a lively atmosphere. All this destruction caused Wang Lin to cough out blood, and his body began to fragment under the rumbles. He was constantly pushed back. As his right index finger continued to resist, he formed a seal with his left hand and waved. The stars trembled with this wave, and the exact same palm print appeared. It was the war spirit print. After the war spirit print appeared, it followed Wang Lin's wave and collided with the sovereign's palm print. A thunderous rumble echoed. The instant the invincible war spirit print collided with the sovereign's palm print, it collapsed. Wang Lin was knocked back and large amounts of blood flowed out from his mouth. This was only his first collision with the sovereign, and he was already seriously injured. However, the sovereign's palm print only paused for a moment before continuing forward. Wang Lin looked up and revealed a fierce expression as he pointed upward. Bursts of seven-colored light appeared, forming a lance that shot toward the palm print. Both sides began colliding once more, setting off monstrous sounds. Wang Lin's body was swept by the wind and he retreated more than 10,000 feet. His hands were trembling and his legs were covered in blood. However, the big palm print didn't disintegrate, though it had dissipated slightly and wasn't as solid as before. The palm print howled as it descended upon Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with madness. The power of the sovereign was not outside his expectations. This was the power of an arcane, tribulent cultivator. As the palm print closed in, the fire in Wang Lin's left eye and the thunder in his right eye appeared. The three ethereal essences and the slaughter essence rumbled. The 6 essences in his body formed 6 illusory swords. With one wave, these 6 swords shot out toward the palm print. Wang Lin clenched his teeth, and rather than retreating, he charged forward. The 6 swords instantly closed in on the palm print and stabbed it. Ripples spread out, and as the swords attacked the palm print, Wang Lin charged forward. He had a fierce expression as he raised his hand, his eyes filled with killing intent. Tearing the heavens. The tearing the heavens spell Wang Lin had learned from Yi Mo's child was used. He grabbed space itself and mercilessly tore it open. The space before Wang Lin trembled and a rift was ripped open before him. Borrowing the power of tearing space itself, the palm print was also torn open. At this instant, an ancient one shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. This was different from before. It was no longer just a head but had a vague body. This body was the Ancient One's body. Although Wang Lin hadn't had time to refine those 8 drops of blood, it had appeared. This vague Ancient One figure also opened its arms and tore at the palm print following Wang Lin's movement. The star domain trembled as an indescribable power ripped it open. It ripped open the operation of the heavens and ripped open the sovereign's palm print. The palm print collapsed. The 6 swords also shattered and returned back to Wang Lin's body in fragments. Wang Lin's hands were a bloody mess. The power of that spell relied on his fingers. Launch art. Even the Ancient One shadow behind Wang Lin suddenly collapsed. Wang Lin was knocked back. He coughed out large amounts of blood and blood sprayed out from his body. His face was pale, but the madness in his eyes disappeared and was replaced by calmness. It was as everything before was merely a play. This is the power of a peak arcane void cultivator that has entered arcane tribulent. Without the Liguang bow, a no-match Wang Lin staggered back as sharp pain washed over his body. His origin soul had been damaged by the rebound shockwave. All of this happened very fast. Although the palm print had dissipated, the sovereign laughed loudly. He was finally certain that Wang Lin didn't have the power to pull the bow a 3rd time. Now that he had no worries, he walked toward Wang Lin with a cruel grin. Wang Lin, I want to see where you will run this time. I have already sealed this star domain. You can escape. The sovereign was filled with joy. He had waited 3 years for this day. Just as the sovereign closed in, howls echoed from the distance. Ripples spread and the 7th concubine walked out with a sullen expression. At the same time, Tao Master Miao Yin and Devil Master 9 Heaven came from another direction toward Wang Lin. 3 of the 5 masters of the ancient star system and the 7th celestial imperial concubine. Any one of them could shake the inner and outer realms, but at this moment, they had all come to kill Wang Lin. Seeing all 4 of them appear, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He had been waiting for all 4 of them to appear. Only then could he complete the first step of his plan. Destroy the outer realm's ancient star system and cause chaos in the cave world so the powers were no longer in balance. This was the first step of Wang Lin's plan, but how could he not realize that this would leave him trapped in the ancient star system only to be hunted? His eyes shined. Just as the sovereign was about to close in, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. His left hand reached forward and the Li Guang bow suddenly appeared in his hands. The moment the Li Guang bow appeared, the sovereign's expression changed greatly. He subconsciously stopped and even retreated more than 1,000 feet. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Impossible! You only have the power of 2 shots. I can be wrong. Impossible. You just taking out the bow to make a fool of us. You can draw that bow. The sovereign couldn't accept such a thing. He couldn't accept his plans being wrong again and again. This kind of blow was extremely deadly to him and could break his confidence, shake his Tao heart. At this moment, not only did the sovereign retreat, but even the 7th concubine stopped and no longer moved forward. Tao Master Miao Yin and Devil Master 9 Heaven also stopped, and their expressions changed greatly. The sovereign's face turned pale, then madness filled his eyes and he roared at Wang Lin, "You pretending to be mysterious." However, just as he roared, he suddenly stopped as he saw Wang Lin's right hand grab the bowstring and mercilessly pull back. There was a buzz. This beautiful sound terrified the sovereign. The memory of his death 3 years ago couldn't be suppressed and drowned him. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Even if you can draw the bow, you don't have the celestial energy to trigger the arrow to appear. The sovereign retreated, his face deathly pale. However, just at this moment, a ghostly light flashed on the bow Wang Lin had drawn, and the arrow that suppressed all life appeared. Holding the bow, he locked onto the sovereign and the others that had come. He raised his left hand and pointed the arrow at the sovereign. The sovereign's face turned deathly pale after being pointed at by the arrow. The biggest blow came from his mind. His plans had collapsed again and again before Wang Lin. Even though he was sure this time, in the end he found that he was wrong once more. This old man refuses to believe. All of this is false. Although you have summoned the arrow, you don't have the celestial energy to shoot this arrow. I don't believe it. I am willing to bet on this. The sovereign went mad. Instead of retreating, he rushed toward Wang Lin. His expression was twisted as his hands formed a seal and the giant palm print appeared once more. A giant, illusory well appeared behind the palm print. The well suddenly spread, and the surrounding star domain seemed to become part of it. At the same time, a bright red sun appeared in this star domain that was surrounded by the well's water. The power of the law of origin appeared. The sovereign went crazy. As he moved forward, he hit his forehead with his hand. A fist-sized bone bead suddenly came out of his forehead. The bone bead was gray and gave off a white glow. After it appeared, the sovereign's power increased several-fold. He then charged straight at Wang Lin. "I'll make you believe, make you remember." Wang Lin closed his cold eyes so the others couldn't see the golden light in his gaze. He pulled the bow a bit more with his right hand so the bowstring was pulled back a bit more. Then he suddenly let go. The moment he let go, the arrow shot forward as a ray of heaven-shattering light. The palm print instantly collapsed and was penetrated by the arrow. Ripples echoed across the well, and as the arrow passed, the well shattered. As for the sun, it wasn't able to stop the arrow from passing through. The arrow carried with it a powerful destructive force as it flew toward the sovereign, who was filled with despair. This can be the arrow was too fast and instantly passed through the sovereign. His body trembled as the arrow passed by. His body collapsed, and the fragments of his body were knocked tens of thousands of kilometers away. Tao Master Miao Yin and Devil Master 9 Heaven coughed out blood and their bodies collapsed. Their origin souls were about to escape when Wang Lin waved his sleeves and captured them. Only the 7th concubine only coughed out a large amount of blood and was seriously injured after the arrow passed. As a celestial imperial concubine, she had a life-saving treasure and luckily survived. After the arrow whizzed past, the sovereign's flesh and blood rapidly reformed and he resurrected once more. He was pale, and he looked at Wang Lin with fear he had never shown before. At this moment, he didn't dare to say he could calculate how many shots Wang Lin could fire. Without any hesitation, the sovereign fled like crazy without turning back, just like 3 years ago. Just at this moment, a monstrous 7-colored light surged. It was as if someone had come using the 7-colored light and completely lit up this star domain. Leo holds a stuffed bear close to his chest, muttering prayers for likes on the video, sprinkling followers in his shares, as the children beside him start to crave. When the 7-colored light flashed, the retreating sovereign suddenly stopped. He looked at the 7-colored light with a complicated and bitter expression. There was also the 7th concubine that had barely survived due to her life-saving treasure. She also looked at the 7-colored light with a complicated expression. He really came. Wang Lin's pupils shrank, and without hesitation, he retreated back a few steps. His right hand reached at the void, and a jade appeared in his hand. He crushed the jade, and it turned into dust. A fist-sized black hole immediately appeared where the jade was. The black hole gave off a shocking suction force and emitted a ghostly light that shrouded Wang Lin. It was going to pull him into the black hole. In the distance, where the 7-colored light appeared, an illusory figure slowly walked over. The figure was a middle-aged man in a robe. He gave off an air of refinement. He was originally calm, but when he saw the black hole appear when Wang Lin crushed the jade, a mysterious light flashed through his eyes. "You want to leave using that method? That's not possible," the 7-colored Taoist spoke as he casually pointed at Wang Lin. With one point, the 7-colored light suddenly shined brightly and gathered in his finger. A 7-colored storm appeared and shot toward Wang Lin. This storm was too fast and instantly closed in on Wang Lin. It was less than 7 feet from Wang Lin. A chill came from Wang Lin's mind and spread across every pore of his body, telling him it was a life-and-death crisis. Based on the speed of this storm, it seemed like Wang Lin didn't have enough time to enter the black hole. However, he didn't panic, as if everything was within his calculations. Just as the 7-colored storm closed in, a woman's jade-like hand reached out from the black hole. Her middle finger had a bright green jade ring that collided with the storm. The 7-colored storm silently collapsed and turned into 7-colored gas. The gas took shapes that looked like 7 poisonous snakes and drilled into the jade-like hand. A wounded muffle came from the black hole. The jade-like hand trembled and soon formed a seal. The hand suddenly split into 7 of the exact same hand and overlapped to form a circle. A 7-colored light came from these 7 hands. With a gentle pat, the 7 hands all gave off different colored lights, forming a 7-colored print. It flew by Wang Lin and shot toward the 7-colored Taoist in the distance. At the same time, Wang Lin's body was pulled in by the black hole and he disappeared from the ancient star system. All of this happened in an instant. When the sovereign saw the 7 hands, he stared at them and his eyes shined brightly. So it's her. The person who was even more shocked was the 7th concubine. Her face turned pale and she subconsciously stepped back as she exclaimed, "Elder sister, she isn't dead." Only the 7-colored Taoist remained calm. As the 7-colored print closed in, he waved his hand. A 7-colored ripple echoed and collided with the 7-colored print. Thunderous rumble echoed, and a moment later, everything disappeared. The 7-colored Taoist closed his eyes. It was unknown what he was thinking. After a long time, he slowly opened his eyes and looked at where Wang Lin had disappeared. Reminiscence filled his eyes. 7-colored jade print, I think that is the name, unfortunately. I only have the spell but not the memory. However, it's not enough to escape from me. The Li Guang bow has finished its mission, so it's time to take it back. The 7-colored Taoist raised his head and stepped forward. He disappeared without a trace. Only the sovereign and the 7th concubine were left there. They were both shocked by the appearance of that hand and the identity of the owner of the hand. The celestial sovereign's first concubine and also the little sister of the celestial sovereign's Tao partner. In the cloud sea, there was a giant spatial crack where the demon sect used to be. Few people knew where this crack led to, but many fierce beasts often rushed out of it. At this moment, deep inside the spatial crack, in this dark and strange space, there was a giant beast more than 10,000 feet long. It looked like a lion but had a single horn on its head. There was a woman sitting before the single horn on this mighty lion's head. She was an extreme beauty, and at this moment, her face was pale. She continuously formed seals and waved her hands before her. before her was a fist-sized hole that was devouring the darkness around her. The black hole trembled and expanded. When it expanded to 10 feet, Wang Lin walked out. The moment he walked out, the black hole collapsed into specks of light. "Many thanks." Wang Lin clasped his hands at the woman sitting there. The extremely beautiful woman opened her eyes and revealed a hint of exhaustion. She looked at Wang Lin, and after a long time, she shook her head and let out a sigh. "Back when we parted, your cultivation level was low. I didn't think you would reach such a high cultivation level today. I thought you had forgotten about our agreement. But when I received your message through the jade, I knew you hadn't. You helped me leave here before, and I'll naturally not forget. However, due to some matters, I came late." Wang Lin smiled and looked down at the giant lion which was running. He decided to sit down. When he decided to go to the ancient star system to destroy the ancient celestial realm there, he had already thought of a way to escape. Wang Lin knew this trip would not be simple. Once he shot the ball twice, the sovereign would act. Even though Wang Lin didn't only have the power for 2 shots left like the sovereign thought, the outer realm was the 7-colored Taoist domain. Once that person appeared, Wang Lin knew it would be difficult to escape. Therefore, when he was cultivating on the wheel formation 1 year ago, he had taken out the jade and communicated with this woman, who he had talked to in a long time. They reached an agreement. The reason Wang Lin had looked for the woman's help was because through his own knowledge and various clues, Wang Lin was 60% confident that this woman was the missing first concubine. After they had their first communication, the woman had revealed her identity. She was the first concubine. The beautiful woman softly said, "I was once the first concubine of the 7-colored celestial sovereign. I told you this before when we talked through the jade. My other identity is the younger sister of Fan Shanmeng, the 7-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner. My name is Fan Shanlu. Since you already know that this is just a cave world, there is no need to hide anything from you." The 7-colored celestial sovereign tried to obtain a treasure while 2 of the 9 sons fought. He used despicable methods by using my sister as bait, and he took that opportunity to obtain it. Then he came back and sealed the 7 Tao sect. Once we arrived here, I couldn't believe anyone from the immortal astral continent, and I was injured by the 7-colored celestial sovereign. My cultivation still hasn't recovered, and I had no one to work with until you appeared. There is no conflict of interest between us. We can work together. The woman spoke softly. You want to take the native cultivators here to the immortal astral continent. I'll also help you with this. The immortal astral continent is a mysterious place. It is too big and wars are constant. There is little peace between the various sects. If you want to have a foothold there, you must have a sect. Every decent area has already been taken. To tell you the truth, with your cultivation level, you can take any sects. As for the cave world, everything here is just an illusion. It is not inaccurate to say all the lives here are indeed fake. Throughout the ages, I have rarely heard of people coming out of the various cave worlds of the sects across the immortal astral continent. I have to tell you this in advance. Wang Lin silently pondered as he sat there listening to her words. However, it is not impossible. When you head to the immortal astral continent, you have to pay a great price and bear the penalty of the immortal astral law. I have heard little about this matter, but only after reaching arcane turbulent in the cave world could you have a chance of surviving it. However, I can help you with this matter as well. The woman slowly spoke as she looked at Wang Lin. I am listening. Wang Lin's expression was calm, without any hint of fluctuations. When the woman saw this, she couldn't help but reveal a hint of admiration. After pondering for a bit, the woman suddenly said, My elder sister is not dead. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, but he didn't speak. She is not here, she is in the immortal astral continent. Obtaining a sect in the immortal astral continent is very difficult, but if you kill the 7-colored celestial sovereign, the 7 Tao sect is yours. My sister and I don't want any of it. Actually, we are not people of the 7 Tao sect, but core disciples of the great soul sect. Back then, we were blind and followed the 7-colored celestial sovereign. The woman clenched her teeth and revealed a resentful expression. Even after you obtain the 7 Tao sect, if you wish to continue cultivating, we can introduce you into the great soul sect. As for the penalty of you entering the immortal astral continent, I'll ask my sister to ask Master to help. With Master helping to welcome you to the immortal astral continent, the penalty would be reduced. Wang Lin silently pondered. A moment later, he slowly spoke. Besides me, what about the other cultivators of the cave world? The beautiful woman was about to speak when her expression suddenly changed, and she looked back. At the same time, Wang Lin also looked back with a gloomy expression. Leo's birthday has passed. Thank you all for your blessings, your praise. Leo will continue to strive, producing increasingly captivating chapters. Brothers, keep your sharp tongues sheathed, stored away carefully. The lion beast below the two of them trembled and revealed a look of horror. It trembled and actually stopped moving. 7 colored lights shined brightly behind him like the stars. It was as if someone had ripped this space open and forced the 7 colored light in. Wang Lin's pupils shrank, and he stepped forward without hesitation. In a flash, he began moving forward rapidly. Fan Shanlu was the same and moved like a beautiful butterfly behind Wang Lin. While she escaped, she waved her jade-like hand toward the lion beast. The lion beast let out a roar and charged at the 7 colored light as if it was crazy. Fan Shanlu's eyes lit up and she muttered, "Blood sacrifice!" The moment she spoke, the lion was covered in a blood-colored light and then exploded into a blood mist. This mist rumbled and then scattered in all directions. Soon, sharp roars came from all directions. The aura of fierce beasts rushed toward the location. Wang Lin was using almost his full speed and moving forward like a ray of light that broke space. He would sometimes fuse with the world and move even faster. Here, Fan Shanlu was a bit faster than Wang Lin. Her cultivation level was extremely high, and although she was injured, she had managed to suppress a lot of her injuries over the years. In a flash, she passed Wang Lin and led the way. She didn't move straight ahead but turned to another direction. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he followed without hesitation. However, just at this moment, a cold snort came from the void behind the two of them. There was no rumble, but a powerful pressure and shockwave came with it. There were hundreds of fierce beasts behind them. They were attracted by the blood mist. However, as the cold snort echoed, they let out mournful cries and were knocked back by a powerful force. As the shockwave spread, the hundreds of fierce beasts all exploded. A few drops of blood and minced flesh flew by Wang Lin, making him even more gloomy. As the hundreds of fierce beasts collapsed, the 7 colored light pierced through. The 7 colored Taoist calmly walked out with his hands behind his back. "Wang Lin, give me the Li Guang bow and arrow." His words were slow, but when they entered Wang Lin's ears, Wang Lin's mind trembled. Wang Lin's body trembled and he coughed out blood. Fan Shanlu grabbed Wang Lin's arm. Her face was pale and she anxiously pulled Wang Lin forward. "I remember you. You are my first concubine. Why are you running from this lord after seeing me?" The 7 colored Taoist's gaze swept past Fan Shanlu. He waved his right sleeve, and 9 burning hot red firebird phantoms appeared before him. The 9 firebirds were not vermilion birds, but the heat they gave off was something not even the vermilion bird could compare to. Also, there were faint traces of planet souls coming from these 9 firebirds. They weren't firebirds at all. They were clearly 9 rare burning planets from this cave world that had been refined by the 7 colored Taoist. Or, more accurately, 9 suns. At this moment, with a wave of his hand, the 9 firebirds turned into 9 rays of burning light that shot toward Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. "You block it." At the moment of crisis, Wang Lin could no longer hide his strength anymore. He let out a roar and waved his hand. Fan Shanlu didn't hesitate. Borrowing the power of Wang Lin's wave, she leaped forward. Her hands formed a seal, and after coughing out a mouthful of blood, she let out a sad roar. "Great soul Tao, draw the soul. With my soul as sacrifice, form a soul to cut off the realm." Fan Shanlu's right hand reached out, and the blood she had coughed out turned into a mist that entered her right hand. Soon, it turned into a blood-red knife. With this knife in hand, Fan Shanlu raised her head and chopped down at the 9 firebirds. The knife collapsed into 9 parts and shot toward the 9 birds to block them. Borrowing this time, Wang Lin reached out with his left hand, and the Li Guang bow appeared. His right hand reached for the string. With a roar, sweat appeared on his forehead, and golden light shone in his eyes as he drew the bow. The sovereign's calculation was not wrong. Wang Lin really only had the power to draw the bow twice. However, what the sovereign didn't know was that Wang Lin had another drop of celestial blood. This drop of blood was what Shu Liguo and Liu Jinbiao had cheated from the madman, and was eventually taken by Wang Lin. Although this drop of blood didn't contain much power, it was enough to cause the sovereign to miscalculate. With a buzz, the Li Guang bow was drawn and the arrow appeared. The moment the arrow appeared, Wang Lin let go and the bowstring slammed back, shooting the arrow out. At this moment, the sound of the arrow replaced all sounds in this world. In an instant, the arrow flew past Fan Shanlu. It caused her hair to flutter and cut off a few strands. After flashing by her, the arrow collided with the 9 firebirds. Thunderous rumbles echoed and a powerful shockwave spread. Fan Shanlu was hit by the shockwave and coughed out blood. Wang Lin grabbed her and the two left without even looking back to see the result. My cave is 4 million kilometers away. There are formations there that can resist for some time. Fan Shanlu's voice echoed. Wang Lin didn't say a word as he grabbed her hand and they disappeared. When they reappeared, they had moved 2 million kilometers. His face was pale and continued to rush forward. Wang Lin rushed forward and didn't dare to stop at all, but he sent out a divine sense message to Fan Shanlu. Is he the 7-colored celestial sovereign? He is and is not he. Before Fan Shanlu finished speaking, a slow voice came from behind them. This old man is certainly the 7-colored celestial sovereign. I originally didn't want to kill you and just wanted to retrieve the bow and arrow. I will give you one last chance to give that bow and arrow to me. In the distance, the 7-colored Taoist slowly walked out. He looked no different than before. That arrow had no effect on him. However, Wang Lin didn't believe him, but this was not the time to observe. If that person wanted to hide the truth, Wang Lin wouldn't be able to tell the truth. Forget it. Since you're looking for death, this lord will help you. The 7-colored Taoist revealed a look of pity. He shook his head and pointed at Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. With this point, a 7-colored crystal appeared from the tip of his finger. This crystal immediately shot toward Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. It closed in an instant and then dissipated into 7-colored light that wrapped around them. If you looked from afar, you would see that they were now surrounded by the 7-colored crystal that had disappeared. At this instant, the crystal rapidly shrank. Cracking sounds echoed and Wang Lin felt intense pain from his body. Powerful pressure came from all directions to crush his body. Fan Shanlu's face turned pale. During this moment of danger, her right hand formed a seal and the 7-colored print appeared before her again. She spat out blood and it landed on the print. Sister, help me! Her voice was extremely mournful. At this moment, the stars shook and an exotic aura came out of nowhere. On the immortal astral continent, there was an icy land that was covered in white snow. It was cold enough to freeze all life to death. Even cultivators found it difficult to survive here. In this frozen land, there was a mountain of ice and a woman was sitting on top of this mountain. Her appearance was exactly the same as Fan Shanlu. At this instant, she suddenly opened her eyes and pointed to the spot between her eyebrows. A burst of 7-colored light came from between her eyebrows. At the same time in the cave world, a burst of 7-colored light also appeared between Fan Shanlu's eyebrows. It was as if an external force had entered her body and made it rumble. Borrowing this power, the 7-colored print before her suddenly expanded to more than 1,000, 10,000, even 100,000 feet. It propped up the shrinking crystal that surrounded them, and the crystal suddenly collapsed. The moment it collapsed, the giant 7 print shot out toward the 7-colored Taoist. I have used all my power. Take me away. Fan Shanlu's eyes dimmed and Wang Lin grabbed her. In a flash, they disappeared and reappeared more than 2 million kilometers away. Before him was a giant ship that was the size of a mortal city. It was completely purple and looked majestic. He was surrounded by layers of protection that gave off a powerful pressure. The sail of the ship moved without any wind, and there was a ghostly face on the sail creating a shocking sight. Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu rushed into the layers of protection. Fan Shanlu's body gave off a glow, and none of the protection layers stopped them from entering. The moment Wang Lin landed, he asked Fan Shanlu, "Who the hell is he?" This question had been in his heart for far too long. Leo truly didn't realize today was May 20th. Leo's already married, not caring about this day at all. Truly no intention, I'm already married, yes, just like that. CHIRP, CHIRP, CHIRP. Fan Shanlu's face was deathly pale, and she didn't respond to Wang Lin's words. She struggled to sit down and place her hands on her knees. She closed her eyes and began cultivating. 7-colored light flickered from her body, and the 7-colored light between her eyebrows became extremely bright. Eventually, a faint vortex appeared between her eyebrows. Not only did seven-colored light come out from the vortex, it was accompanied by bursts of cold energy. The moment the cold energy appeared in this large ship, the deck froze and white mist scattered. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he retreated a few steps. However, just at this moment, Fan Shanlu's face suddenly turned red, and she coughed out a mouthful of blood. The blood turned into drops of ice and scattered across the deck. Shortly after, the vortex between her eyebrows suddenly enlarged and started rotating rapidly. Wang Lin's eyes shined, and he saw a face suddenly appear inside the vortex. This face was almost identical to Fan Shanlu's, an extremely beautiful and alluring face. The moment this face appeared, Fan Shanlu revealed a painful expression, and the veins on her face swelled, her expression fierce. Her eyes opened and the vortex between her eyebrows collapsed. The vortex returned back into her head, and the beautiful face disappeared with it. A miserable scream came from Fan Shanlu, and she coughed out blood. Her hands reformed the seals, and she began cultivating again. When Wang Lin saw all of this, his expression became extremely serious. He seemed to have seen through some stuff but wasn't too sure. While pondering, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out and surrounded the entire ship. Soon, the entire ship appeared in his mind. This ship was very large, and there were many restrictions that even Wang Lin felt were mysterious. As his divine sense spread out, he was shocked to find that almost the entire ship was made of restrictions. Even the deck below his feet was made of restrictions. It could be said that this ship was a giant restriction formation. The layers of protection were created by the ship itself. They formed fine, overlapping layers, and it would be very difficult to break them. Wang Lin vaguely noticed the core of this formation as his divine sense spread out. It was the ghostly face sail on the ship. The ghostly face seemed to be alive, and its eyes were locked onto Wang Lin. Although it was completely silent, when Wang Lin was stared at by the ghostly face, he seemed to hear hideous cries and roars in his mind. This sound penetrated his mind and caused his expression to change. He couldn't help but retreat a few steps. Time restriction, life and death restriction, ancient soul restriction, annihilation restriction. Not only does this ship have the 4 ancient restrictions, but there are also many I have never seen before. If I have the time to master all these restrictions and research them, I could reach small completion in my restriction essence. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. His restriction knowledge was extraordinary, but unfortunately, most of the restrictions in this cave world were incomplete. If he tried to deduce them by force, not only would it waste a lot of time, it might be wasted effort as well. However, now it was different. The restrictions on this ship opened a new path for Wang Lin. If he could gain enlightenment and deduce them all, there might be a chance for the restriction essence to appear. Shortly after Wang Lin observed the restrictions here, a bright 7-colored light appeared outside the ship and lit up this area. The 7-colored Taoist slowly walked over. This ship is somewhat familiar. The 7-colored Taoist looked at the ship with reminiscence in his mind. However, no matter how much he tried, he couldn't remember where he had seen this ship before. I didn't obtain the memory, so I can remember a lot of things. The 7-colored Taoist pondered for a moment and shook his head. He then waved his right hand. Thunderous rumbles suddenly echoed. As the deck on the ship trembled violently, a muffled rumble came from outside. Wang Lin turned to look out through the protective layers. He saw that inside the 7-colored light was the calm 7-colored Taoist, who looked as if the world was between his fingers. Thunderous rumbles echoed once more, and as the deck trembled, the outermost layer of protection collapsed. The impact caused the giant ship to be pushed back a few hundred feet. Although this ship's restrictions are powerful, only 20% of them are activated. With just 20%, I fear it won't be able to stop the 7-colored Taoist. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. It was a moment of life and death. The 7-colored Taoist might not kill him for some reason, but he was going to take away the Li Guang bow and arrow. Wang Lin could not hand over the Li Guang bow. It had great use for him. It was the only thing that could allow him to suppress all the arcane void cultivators. Most importantly, he wouldn't allow his life to be in the hands of others. He didn't want his life to be controlled with just a thought. Even if he was at full power, this soul search ship could stop him for dozens of hours. Just at this moment, a cold voice came from behind Wang Lin. Fan Shanlu slowly opened her eyes. Even though less than 30% of the restrictions are activated, he is also not the same as back then. It can stop him. For 3 days, Fan Shanlu spoke coldly, and her gaze contained a hint of coldness as she looked at the 7-colored Taoist outside. There was a complicated sense of hatred in her eyes. Wang Lin turned around to look at the woman, and after a long time he suddenly said, "You re not Fan Shanlu." The woman withdrew her gaze from outside the boat and looked at Wang Lin. A moment later, a hint of admiration appeared in her eyes and she nodded. "You re indeed worthy of someone chosen by my little sister to work with. I am indeed not Fan Shanlu. I am her big sister, Fan Shanmang." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he carefully looked at her, but he didn't speak. "You should know my identity from my little sister. I am the 7-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner." As she spoke, she raised her right hand and formed a seal. With a wave, 7-colored light came from her hand and flew toward the barrier outside. After it fused with the barrier, a powerful aura came from the ship and the barrier became even stronger. The rumbles from outside the barrier were almost completely blocked out, and the sounds that reached their ears were barely detectable. "Since you are cooperating with me and my sister, I won't keep any secrets from you." Back then, 2 of the 9 sons, the Grand Empyrean Dao Yi and the ancient country's Grand Empyrean Xuan Luo, appeared near our 7 Dao sect. Their powers were heavenly, and they were fighting for a storage fragment that had somehow flew out from the immemorial god domain. Normally, 7-colored and I could not participate in this matter, and could not get any benefits, but in the end, fortune favored us even now. I still don't understand how Dao Yi or Xuan Luo didn't notice that a piece was missing, even if the storage fragment was broken. That missing piece landed in 7-colored's hand, and it was then that I saw his true heart. In order to cover up the aura, I gave up all my cultivation to fully suppress it, and wished to quickly return to the 7 Dao sect. However, during the trip back, he backstabbed me. I was caught off guard, and he took my full cultivation to suppress the fragment. He then destroyed my soul. He wanted to kill me because he was afraid the news would spread. He also needed to use my cultivation to open the fragment. After all, the fragment came from the immemorial god domain, so it would be very difficult to open. However, I didn't die. I am a core disciple of the Great Soul Sect, so a part of my soul had been left with my teacher. Teacher used the Great Reincarnation spell and allowed me to be quickly reborn. There were people inside the 7 Dao sect that listened to me, especially my little sister. I borrowed my teacher's spell to tell my little sister everything, and thus the war began. The woman slowly talked about the past. I knew that he must have opened the fragment and obtained what was inside. I also knew that he had lured Yi Mo inside and sealed the 7 Dao sect. But how could I let him succeed? I told the news to Lian Daofei, who had always coveted my beauty, and lured him to the 7 Dao sect. With my sister's connection, most of his concubines defected and caused the 7 Dao sect disciples to split. This is how the inner and outer realms formed. At this point, the woman looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, and he didn't release any fluctuations. He had speculated on most of this, and even now he only believed some of her words. There were many parts that were skimmed over, and although what she was saying sounded complete, there were still some issues. After silently pondering for a moment, Wang Lin slowly said, "What kind of place is the immemorial god domain?" There is a legend in the immortal astral continent stating that the immemorial god domain will open 9 times. Each time it opens, the person who obtains the final fortune will become a Grand Empyrean. Up until now, it has opened 9 times, and there are indeed 9 suns. Perhaps the 10th sun will appear when it opens for the 10th time. As for what the immemorial god domain is, I don't know what it is either. You said that this 7-colored is different from the 7-colored of the past. I need an answer to this. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he looked at the blurry figure smashing up the protection around the ship. The woman pondered a bit and suddenly said, "He is not complete." I don't know how he got Li Guang to help him kill Ye Mo, but I know that after I told Lian Daofei how to break into the cave, a fierce battle occurred. This battle happened shortly after Ye Mo died. 7-colored then went into closed-door cultivation due to his injuries, and was studying something he got from that fragment. It wasn't until later that I learned that there was a heavenly Tao inside that fragment. Leo continues to read. Today is Monday, wishing for just a few more likes and followers for the VIDEO channel. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 16, Disciple. Under the elder's eyes, Wang Lin felt like he was transparent, and the elder could see everything. The elder frowned. He couldn't find anything abnormal about Wang Lin, then asked, "Wang Lin, when did you come back?" Wang Lin's heart was still pounding from that one glance. He quickly replied, "This disciple came back late last night. This morning, when I went to do my daily chores, Brother Lu told me Elder was looking for me." Elder's son's face was gloomy. Without a word, he grabbed Wang Lin. With a step, they disappeared in a rainbow-colored cloud toward Wang Lin's room. The speed was too fast. Wang Lin felt like he was suffocating, but luckily the trip was very short. When they arrived at Wang Lin's room, Elder's son tossed Wang Lin to the side and scanned the room with his divine sense. "What is this?" Elder's son moved next to Wang Lin's bed and found the gourd Wang Lin used to store spring water. Wang Lin looked calm on the surface, but his heart skipped a beat and he quickly tried to find the right words to say. Elder's son studied it for a long time. Then he turned to Wang Lin and asked, "Wang Lin, what did you store in this gourd?" Wang Lin tried to play the fool and said, "Elder, this gourd is filled with spring water from the mountain. This spring water is really amazing. Every time I am tired, all I have to do is drink some and I'll immediately feel refreshed. When I was little, I read a book telling me that everything the immortals use are good. I didn't expect even the spring water to be this amazing. Elder, if you want this spring water, there are 10 vats full of it in the supply house. Each of those vats are the size of a house. That water was all fetched by me." Elder's son opened up the gourd and sniffed it. Suddenly, his expression changed, and he eagerly said, "Who asked you about the spring water? Quickly, tell me where you found this gourd." Wang Lin was stunned. He innocently asked, "Elder, what is wrong with the gourd?" "I saw it floating down the river when I went to fetch water. I thought it looked pretty good, so I fished it out of the water." Elder's son narrowed his eyes and gave Wang Lin a deep look. He touched the gourd and thought, "There is a large amount of spiritual energy within this gourd. If a mortal drank the water stored in this gourd, while they wouldn't be able to absorb much of the spiritual energy, it would still refresh them. He doesn't seem to be lying. This gourd is a complete waste on him. If this was used to make immortal pills, the effect should be good." There was a high chance that the death of the blue grass and the purple night flower had something to do with the gourd. Maybe they were natural enemies. This matter couldn't be certain without further testing. Stopping his thoughts there, his expression suddenly changed and carefully looked at the gourd. He frowned and coldly stared at Wang Lin. "Wang Lin, you sure are bold. You dare to lie to an elder? Looks like you don't want to stay in the Heng Yu sect anymore." Wang Lin revealed a puzzled face. He quickly responded, "Elder, I am not lying to you. There really are 10 vats full of spring water in the supply house." Without letting Wang Lin finish speaking, Elder's son let out an angry laugh and said, "You still acting innocent with me? I was asking you about the gourd. This gourd looks like it was just recently broken off its vine. Wang Lin, I'll give you one last chance to tell me where you got this gourd, or I'll kick you out of the Heng Yu sect today." Wang Lin's face revealed an angry expression. His expression showed a will to fight and cried, "So what if I am kicked out? Here at the Heng Yu sect, all I have done is fetch water to fill those 10 vats. Many times I stayed more than a week before I could eat. If it wasn't for the sweet potatoes my mom gave me, I would have starved to death already. This isn't cultivation, it's just torture. I spent a lot of effort to fish that gourd out of the river. If you want it, just take it. Why say I'm lying to you? What does the gourd still having its vine have to do with me? Maybe someone broke it off the vine and tossed it in the water. You question me, but who am I going to ask about it?" Elder's son looked at the remaining sweet potatoes, then looked at the gourd. He pondered a little and thought, "While I want this gourd, to steal an honorary disciple's treasure and then drive him away would be too disgraceful. It would be bad if news of this were to spread. My reputation would be ruined, and if other people in the sect were to find out about this gourd, I wouldn't be able to prevent them from taking it. This kid is still lying to me. There has to be more gourds like this. If I can get them all, my pill creation skill will go up by another level." Thinking of this, he suddenly changed into a surprised expression and exclaimed, "You sure had it rough, kid. I didn't know that you didn't get to eat for a whole week. Now that I know of this issue, I'll deal with it. Even honorary disciples are still disciples of the Heng Yu sect." After he finished talking, he noticed that Wang Lin was still angry. He coldly laughed to himself but kindly said, "Wang Lin, I want this gourd, but I want to treat you properly. Do you want to be my helper?" Wang Lin muttered, "I don't want to. Helper is the same as a servant. If my dad found out that became a servant, he would beat me to death." Elder son almost lost his temper. He wanted to beat him to death before Wang Lin's dad could. Although he was at the bottom of the second generation, if he said he was looking for a helper in the sect, all the honorary disciples would rush for the position. Swallowing his anger, he yelled, "Fine, I'll accept you as my disciple. I am going to go tell the patriarch right now. You pack your things, then come wait for me at my garden." After he finished speaking, he walked out of Wang Lin's room. With a step, a cloud appeared as he headed straight toward the patriarch. When he left, Wang Lin's expression darkened. He sneered inwardly, "This old man has ulterior motives. On the surface, he accepted me as a disciple, but in reality, he just wants more gourds." Wang Lin pondered this for a while, then chuckled. He only wanted some gourds. There were plenty of gourds in the mountain. He just had to soak some in some water with the bead. Now that there was an opportunity to become an inner disciple, he had to take this opportunity to cultivate properly. After thinking about it, he became very excited. He packed his things and left a lot of sweet potatoes for Zhang Hu. He then started to walk toward Elder Son's yard. This time, he didn't announce his arrival and walked straight into the courtyard. The white-clothed youth, who was sitting on top of a tree, didn't stop him. He already received the news that Elder Son had accepted Wang Lin as a disciple. The youth laughed, saying to himself, "A trash master accepted a trash disciple. This is very fitting. Leo has a nasal inflammation and a cold again. My nose is just like a running faucet, frustrated." Chapter obtaining the MARROW. The current scene was to everyone as if the heavens were falling down. A surge of wind suddenly came down from the roof. Wang Lin without hesitation slapped his storage bag and pulled out a lot of defensive jade talisman. He had many such jade talisman. After looting those whom he had killed, the quantity of such low-level magic weapons could not be said to be few. The jade talismans one by one turned into layers of light curtains, wrapping around Wang Lin's body. In an instant, he calmly dodged to the side. The instant the wind fell, he had already leapt out. Meanwhile, the duo of Gudi and Six Desires Devil Lord had stopped. The two hadn't talked nonsense earlier. Gudi's face looked solemn as he threw out an ancient bell from his storage bag. The ancient bell, after coming out of the storage bag, immediately increased in size, then shaking gently, immediately sent out bursts of ripples, spreading out in an instant as the stones in the surroundings cracked under the effect of the ripples. The serpentine creature dropped from the sky, and twisting its body, it turned and bashed its head against the ripples, growling immediately and puffing out black fog from its mouth. As soon as this powerful black fog touched the stones in the surroundings, they immediately turned into black ash and dissipated. The black fog that had been emitted by that serpentine creature was collected by Hunchback Meng. He touched the pustules on his face and immediately crushed one. Suddenly, an unbearable stench spread out from the crushed pustule, as a black liquid flowed from it. The hunchback's body immediately disappeared, only to reappear immediately in front of the black fog, with a grim expression on his face. He opened his big mouth and inhaled fiercely. The black fog rushed in as it was being completely sucked into his mouth. Gradually, the hump on his back started getting bigger, when all the black fog had been sucked by him. It appeared as if he was carrying a small hill on his back. Standing unsteadily next to a rock, his eyes sparkled as he stared silently at the serpentine creature. The black gas that was being spread from the pustule that he had crushed a bit earlier was being completely inhaled into the belly of the frog, who was lying on his stomach on his shoulder. The moment Gudi had thrown out the ancient bell, Six Desires Devil Lord formed his hands to make various hand seals, and murmuring some words, his gaze swept over Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He immediately retreated a few steps, and without hesitation took out from his hands the Yuan Ying level magic weapon, Jade Talisman, and at the same time spit out glittering light from his mouth. The glittering light appeared flashing in front of him with its tip pointed towards Six Desires Devil Lord. Six Desires Devil Lord's vision paused on him for a moment, then swept away and onto the youth beside him. The youth's face carried a look of horror. As he nervously stared at the serpentine creature, his body trembled slightly. Fear. Six Desires Devil Lord's eyes twinkled as this one word came out of his mouth. The youth's body suddenly shook, and a black QI came out from his nose and mouth, quickly condensed into a black sword. floating in front of Six Desires Devil Lord. The youth's body shook. As he slumped where he stood, his eyes revealed an empty expression. With his right hand above the sharp black sword, Six Desires Devil Lord pronounced some difficult and convoluted words in a weird tone. Gradually the sword's body started getting bigger, and eventually became a giant heavenly sword. All this happened in a very short time. At this time, when the serpentine creature had rammed his face into the ancient bell and had spit out the black fog, Six Desires Devil Lord said in a sickly way, "Go!" The black sword in front of him instantly swung quickly towards the serpentine creature, chopping downwards at the spot 7 inches from the head. Only a pang sound could be heard. As the sharp sword swung down at the snake's head, the snake felt great pain. It suddenly flung its head, causing the black sword to be dislodged immediately. At this time, the youth standing beside Six Desires Devil Lord spurted out blood from his nose and mouth, and his entire body went weak. Yet the confusion in his eyes became even more intense. The giant bell summoned by Gudi began to rotate atop his right hand immediately. The sound became heavier and heavier, and more dense. The varied ripples combined to form a single ring, and rushed crazily towards the creature. The great snake, which had just been hit by the sharp black flying sword, upon being hit by this ripple, started shaking immediately. Both of its eyes revealing bloodthirst, it suddenly opened its giant mouth. Its size was not inferior to a small hill. An illusory shadow flashed out from within its mouth. At the same time, Gudi's face changed and his great bell suddenly vanished mid-air. Wang Lin had his divine consciousness locked onto the serpentine creature, and was looking carefully. The moment that creature had opened its mouth, a small snake head appeared within it. This small snake head flashed out, bit the ancient bell, and suddenly retracted. Hunchback Meng's eyes flashed as he stood atop a distant rock. He stared at the serpentine creature, pursing his lips. He was just about to rush out, but that creature's big mouth had already closed. Hunchback Meng's strange behavior was clearly observed by Wang Lin. He was constantly vigilant of all the people in his surroundings. Of course, he couldn't forget that this person was expert with poison. At this time, Six Desires Devil Lord's vision once again went on to the youth by his side. Pressing his fingers to his forehead, he shouted in a low tone, "Anger!" A purple-red gas came out from the youth's nose, mouth, and the 7 orifices, forming a sharp sword before detaching and coming to float in front of Six Desires Devil Lord's body. Duan Muji's eyes looked extremely gloomy. He looked at Wang Xingyu. The two reached an understanding, rushed forward. The duo were fast, and in a flash appeared near the center point of the giant serpentine creature's body, as they immediately brought out their magic weapons and started attacking. Duan Muji was no longer using the bottle gourd, but was using a giant awl which was emitting silver light. Each time the awl would be hammered, it would result in countless thunderballs condensing out of nothing, to strike along with the awl. As for Wang Xingyu, he did not have any magic weapons in his hands. Instead, he interlaced his hands together, and the 5 words, gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, appeared out of nowhere, and an array composed of these 5 elements began bombarding together on the serpentine creature. Wang Lin's heart trembled. These 5 people's magic techniques were all formidable beyond compare, far beyond what an average person is capable of. What particularly caught his attention was Six Desires Devil Lord's magic techniques. However, this magic technique needed person as a conduit. That youth had unfortunately become that person. At this point, the serpentine creature was experiencing great pain as it roared again and again. Its body spun around like a vortex crazily, causing the stones floating in the surroundings to be involuntarily drawn towards it. The moment this vortex appeared, Duan Muji and Wang Xingyu rushed out. Both of their faces had gloomy expressions. As for Gudi, his expression appeared even more ugly as he could no longer sense his magic weapon. The vortex was getting bigger and bigger. The huge suction force made everyone retreat quickly. The purple-red sharp sword which was in front of Six Desires Devil Lord was sending out monstrously evil light, and his eyes flashed. The sharp sword rushed. At the same time, the black sword which had struck earlier also flashed out. Both swords, flying extremely fast, instantly stabbed both of the serpentine creature's eyes. The moment that the swords came into contact with the eyes, they immediately turned into gas and drilled into the eyes. A crazy roar emerged from the serpentine creature as its body suddenly shook. Its eyes flashed with a red light, as 2 gases, one purple-red and one black, were gradually forcing the life out of its eyes. At this moment it once again opened its big mouth, and the other snake head rushed out rapidly and swallowed the two gases. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes flashed with a cold light. He was waiting for this opportunity, so he rushed out. After entering the vortex, he doubled his speed and in a blink of an drilled into the snake's mouth. Meanwhile, a green light flashed in his surroundings. It could be seen that the hunchback monk standing on a distant rock was also waiting and looking for an opportunity, as he also had the same idea. After he saw Wang Lin, he was slightly startled, and afterwards a smile of appreciation appeared on his face. However, this smile appeared to possess a somewhat cruel flavor. Hunchback monk flashed forward. His goal was the other snake head in that snake's mouth. Wang Lin, seeing this, changed his direction immediately, and following along the big snake's mouth drilled downward, his goal was this creature's marrow. Li Muwan had said on that day that for creatures like the aquatic dragon, their body's most precious place is not the dragon's den, but the marrow fluid. The reason that Wang Lin had taken the risk to come in was precisely for this marrow fluid. Ever since he saw the serpentine creature, he had been covertly observing. On that day, Li Muwan had said that the magical effects of marrow fluid depended a bit on the age of the aquatic dragon. If it had lived beyond a certain threshold, then its marrow liquid